Oh, there you have it, Radiohead and Just. That's a good opening song right there, my friends.
Killer.
What's up, Mark Norman?
I used to listen to that song in my headphones walking back from Real Bad Bombs.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of Radiohead, a lot of Creep, and all that shit.
Benz is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Good album.
Of all time. To this day, I could still track through that, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
I was in a Radiohead loop the last couple of days, and it started with this damn Matt Pinfield who's coming in today. He wrote a book about his life. What is it called? All these
things that I've done, my insane, improbable rock life.
Right. And he mentions a Radiohead documentary in the book called, help me out, Travis, Easy to Meet People, I think?
Meeting People is Easy.
Meeting People is Easy, right, which is all about OK Computer back in 1997, I think. I think the doc came out in 98. And have you ever seen that? It's pretty much Radiohead dealing with all the press and all the fame that came with OK Computer. And
I'm down.
Being asked mundane, who gives a fuck questions, and the same questions, and then showing them touring in general and going to Japan and blah, 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 blah.
Is it good? Because I've seen a bunch of those, and it's all just, all right, we're on the plane now we're performing, now we're breaking a hotel room. Is it any different?
Thank you for saying that.
I've seen a million of these.
The answer is, I don't know. But I couldn't turn it off. It was a bit avant-garde at times.
Okay.
I don't know if it was good.
All right, I've watched the Pearl Jam one, I watched the Nirvana one, I watched the, I feel like the Flaming Lips one, they all kind of bleed together. But I'll give it a whirl.
I love documentaries and I love music docs. So
yeah.
I didn't hate it. But I mean, I would bet Travis said it was great. Right, Travis?
Yeah, I loved it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Why did you love it, though? To answer Mark Norman's question.
Because I love the band so much, so it's interesting to see them during that time after they record OK Computer and go on tour, because that's... so many people consider that to be, one of the greatest albums of the last 20 years. So,
is it greater than Ben's?
Some people would say it is. There are times where I feel like it is, but then there's times where I feel like Kid A is better, and then there's times where I feel like the Ben's better. It really depends on what.
He goes deep with Radiohead.
Okay.
He goes very deep. I mean, I absolutely liked it. I couldn't turn it off. And then I started just listening to a lot of Radiohead. I was getting into that loop, and then I watched the Just video, and I'm just obsessed with why the guy lays on the sidewalk.
It's such a good video.
Radiohead's that perfect band to say, because you say like, oh, I like this band. People go, it's a little overproduced. I like this band. Well, they kind of sold out. Radiohead's always the one to go with.
Yeah.
No one gives you shit for that one.
Because they don't, they try not to sell out, but then they end up selling out in their own way.
They give their album away for free. They do fun shit.
Right. But this guy lays down on the sidewalk in the Just video. Has that question ever been answered? I would assume it has not.
Is this the video where you stomp on the guy's cake? All right.
Wow, Mark Norman. The guy's on the sidewalk. He just lays down, and everyone's like, why the fuck are you laying on the sidewalk? And he won't really tell him. And then in the video, I think he does tell him, and then everyone else starts laying down on the sidewalk.
Interesting. Well, it gets you talking. You go, oh, what's that about? What's the symbolism?
What does that guy say at the end of the Radiohead video for Just? What do they say in this blog post? Vic, do you know anything about Radiohead in this video?
I know that I agree with everything Travis just said on the 3-album run that he ran right there. And I was like you and Mark Norman. I have nothing but positivity to say. I have nothing to add to this. And I don't know what this means. And I've never known why the fucker was laying down. Yeah. I knew why Judah was hugging everybody in the Dave Matthews video. But
why was that?
I don't know.
I don't even know the answer to that.
Because everybody needs a hug. That's an easy one.
Come on.
No, it's something big and cheesy.
Something else.
No, it's not. It's not.
It is what it is.
It's not because roaches fly. It's because everybody.
That's boring.
I think it's something about the gays. That's what I think.
Everybody needs a hug.
Yeah,
that's across the board.
Judah also played a retarded guy in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Fun fact.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Did I see that episode? I don't think I saw that episode.
Well, his tour de force though is in
American Splendor.
Yeah, because it's semi.
Right.
Like in Tropic Thunder, he didn't go full on retard.
Right.
He just went offbeat. Yeah. That guy was quirky. There's probably not anything wrong with that guy.
He went
probably
full kook.
Yes, he went. He embraced his inner eccentric.
You got to go with a taste. A taste of retard.
A little bit.
A little taste.
Some sort of a nervous tick.
Yeah. A little something. You can't go all in.
Go full on.
You got to put like maybe maybe 1 foot in the pool of retard.
Yeah, just a little.
Up to your knee, maybe. You don't dive in.
You said 1 foot. Would that be my left foot?
Oh.
Might go horrible. Exactly. Right.
You gotta go a little downsy.
a little Corky.
Yeah.
A little Corky. I had the Corky cassette tape for a while.
Wow.
I lost it.
Really?
Chris Burke Sings.
Sure.
That's the name of it.
Huh.
I interviewed him.
It's so wrong on a million levels, you know.
Is it singing like a retarded person?
No, Chris Burke sings. It's Chris Burke singing.
Okay.
My problem with the whole thing is what looks to be incestual homosexual twins that have lured Chris Burke into this travesty.
I remember that whole story.
And they're all on the cover of I still remember the cover of the cassette. They're all wearing like those Cosby sweaters to make it even more creepy now.
The first song is "Let's Get Retarded in Here."
Yeah.
It's Obladi Oblada.
Yes, I remember that.
I had that whole gang in here.
It's
really?
So
whole gang in here.
I still remember their last name. It's like Demasi. It's like,
come on, do you really remember this?
How often do you come across Chris Burke Sings?
Right.
I found that. Right.
Twice today.
I found that in the 99-cent bin back when you could still find a cassette in the 99.
I remember that he was singing, and
that's not the cover.
I forgot about those two guys until you just mentioned
They're the ones. That's who I'm mad at. I have no problem.
Remember them.
I have no problem with Chris Burke cashing in at the height of his quirkiness.
But
these guys are wrong on every level.
But they were using Chris Burke for their own musical careers, and it didn't work out.
Horrible, horrible, horrible.
Wow, they're using the retarded guy.
Yes, they were.
Yes.
I fully believe they were using.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you said, the retarded guy for their own fame and musical careers.
Okay, there's the cover. He's in the cover. Sorry, I thought they all had on Cosby sweaters. I was wrong, but there's the cover right there.
Yeah, and
I said Joe and John DeMasi. I was correct.
The brothers are holding each other.
No, I said incestual homosexual twins.
They look like the cover of a rom-com.
Yeah,
it's so long.
They got their blue collared shirts on, and the one brother has his left arm gingerly on his brother's shoulder in the background.
One's a little chunkier. They're twins. And
Joe and John DeMasi. You nailed it.
One's just a little fatter. One's a little fatter.
So this is what's going on in the Vic Henley studio apartment. It's late during the moonlight.
I'm throwing shit like this out.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm just going through cabinets and I come across something like that. I'm like, fuck, I hate it. I should keep this. I really should keep it.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I'm on the street putting it in a bag.
The shit in the back of you and Jim Norton's closets are very different.
I would assume so.
Cleaning out my closet. I'll go from Chris Burke to Eminem.
What a horrible gig for those DeMasi brothers. Like, how things going? Well, we hooked up with a special needs singer, things are really taking off.
What do you mean? He's on a top 20 show at the time. They think they've hooked the golden lamb.
No, they weren't.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It was after that.
Oh, was it?
Which makes it even sadder.
I'm sorry.
They're like, how do we get our music in front of people? Let's hire Chris Burke.
Corky's open.
And it went nowhere. What year are we talking about as far as this goes?
92, 93.
Oh, shit. All right.
It goes back that far?
Somewhere, maybe.
I think a little later than that.
They don't let him. He comes in at every horrific moment where he just stands out the worst.
Right.
He doesn't usually sing along with them. They usually the two dudes are singing, and then he chimes in with the chorus, and it's just
Get Obladi, Oblada.
Yeah, that's the worst
one.
one. You got to hear. You've never heard this. It's really.
It's been a while.
This was the one they were trying to get added to a lot of radio stations.
Well, you can't.
This is going to be a power hit.
It's so bad.
Do you have it?
It's so bad.
I like your face, and Molly says this.
They're still together.
Now, this is radio now, right?
Oh my God! Now they're old.
They're still together.
Chris Burke can't get away from these guys.
I love it.
For a retarded guy, he's really like with it.
Yeah.
He's put on a little weight.
I'm trying to think of the right wording here.
It completely makes sense because it's going to lead to something else I want to talk about in a second.
Oh, boy.
In a second. But first, I want to find. You can't find Obladi Oblada like a studio version.
The one from the one from the album is the one you want.
Because now we got.
It's so horribly overproduced, and all of a sudden they just hand him the mic like once a song. It's what that one sounds.
Now we got them all looking extremely old. So Burke never got away from these guys.
It doesn't look like it. They're going to be his caregivers later on.
They're still trying to make it happen.
Joe, change his bag. Hey, Joe, change my bag. It's going to be just.
I talked to Chris Burke a couple times over the years, and to be honest with you, he was
somebody lovely.
Really? He was. I'm sure he's a lovely man.
Okay,
child.
Sure,
guy.
No, I only have a problem with these guys. I don't have any problem with Chris Burke.
And to answer Mark's question, yes, he was very much with it, considering his disability.
Sure,
his limitations.
Well, there you go.
You know.
And all right, we'll play this, even though this is the live version.
This is bad.
Yeah, this looks like, what is it, County Fair or something?
No, it's Central Park. I recognize it. I walked by there. I'm guessing. I recognize that outhouse in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Or public toilet, as we say.
What were you saying, Paul?
I don't think this is in too much demand to have the studio album version of it on YouTube.
No, that's just a shitty cop-out, Paul.
That is just mean,
really. If
Paul.
I used to have it in my apartment, it should be in the system of a satellite radio channel.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
All right, play a little of this, even though it's a live...
Alice says this as she takes it. Now help us out. Clap your hands. Oh, blanky, oh, blanka, life goes on.
Now, do they have any originals?
Oh, blanky, oh, blanka, life goes on.
Oh, they do? This is a Beatles song.
On the original one, they do this and Poison Ivy, which is an old Coaster song for Poison.
But I'm saying, do they have...
then all the other tracks are original.
Oh, really?
I believe, and they're about like eat your vegetables, chew your food. It's almost like a kid's record. It's almost like, I'm guessing again, a lot of weed, a lot of years.
Eat your vegetables, eat your pennies.
It's all
eat your paste.
Suck your pennies. Eat your vegetables, suck your pennies.
Suck your pennies?
Just,
all right.
Just to get the metallic flavor.
Right.
You don't actually eat the pennies. You
Stare at a pinwheel. It's track 4.
Turn on a lava lamp.
Don't put your dick in a toaster.
Oh my
Strobe
God.
light.
Strobe light.
Wow.
That's track 8.
I think we do have an original here.
Oh, boy.
We found an original.
I believe it's called Celebrate.
Celebrate.
All right.
That's
Rare Earth. That's Rare Earth.
Let's all come together and celebrate.
No, wrong.
Celebrate. Celebrate.
Oh, man.
Celebrate.
See, this is pre-American Idol, where you could... what was that Asian kid they all shit on?
Yeah, William Hung.
Hung. This is pre-Hung.
Celebrate. Celebrate. It's a celebrate.
Wow, this is from 10 years ago.
Oh, this is brutal. This is like NASCAR. You just watch it to see him burn.
Yeah.
Voices joined in harmony.
Ah,
Yeah.
God.
This guy ought to be hit with that guitar.
This is cruel.
The sound of joy and laughter.
Oh, no, here comes...
See, look.
Ah, God, I can't do it. What are we doing with our
It's
lives?
almost like when Dylan comes in. It really is. Very close to what Dylan sounds like now. If you go see Dylan now and he's singing with other people, that's what it sounds like when Dylan comes in.
This is a big
so
influence.
wrong.
It's horrible.
Big influence on Tom York.
Because the two brothers are professionally trained, and they could easily be part of a kids show singing these goofy songs, but they didn't go anywhere in their career, so they dragged Chris Burke into this, and it looks like they're still holding him hostage all these years later.
Right,
That's been my theory.
They're dangling a cheese string in front of him.
I am with you on this. Oh, the DeMasi brothers are terrible people.
They've got to
in
be.
my humble opinion.
Yes.
Yeah. Brutal.
Oh,
Yeah, they were all in here though, and they were all right. But
Oh, God. They've Eiffel Towered him.
it leads to this. During my very long break, pretty much took August off. We're back full time finally. I think the show's called Born This Way. Has anyone seen it?
no, I just know the Lady Gaga
It's
song.
pretty much like Real World with like Down syndrome.
Is that right?
Okay.
Wow, what a concept.
Is it called Born This Way on A&E?
There you go.
Oh, they're
All
going
right.
to fuck.
There it is.
That's what they canceled Sherrod for.
He's canceled.
They canceled that already?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That was quick.
It's off the air. It is off the air.
He told me they were taking a little break.
Right, that's what that wink for
Oh,
this.
I think it's just
taking
Born
a little
This
break
Way.
for this. Taking a little break for this.
Damn.
It's Born This Way.
Season 2.
No, it's a big show for A&E, but it's people with Down syndrome trying to live their lives as normal as possible, and they have couples and they want to have a baby, and everyone's looking at them like, maybe you shouldn't have a baby. Then you got a guy like, why can't I live alone, Mom? And like, well, we could give it a try, and then he finds a roommate, and It's very, I'm not going to lie to you, it gets pretty emotional. Well, you're like, this is fucking sad.
Have you never seen any of the movies where they do this? This concept goes back to like the 70s, you know.
Like what?
Like, Juliette Lewis and Giovanni Ribisi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Ralph Malph from Happy Days is in one of the earliest ones. Where it's like,
Rosie was Ride the Bus is our favorite.
So there you go. That's a great, yeah.
Riding the Bus.
Outstanding.
You've never seen Riding the Bus with Rosie O'Donnell. We've done hours on this one, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty.
Donnie Most and Linda Pearl, P-U-R-L.
Yeah,
was that's one of the first ones I remember, and it's because he was on Happy Days. He's Ralph Malph.
I remember
Most. And then it's called Leo and Lori.
I never saw Leo and Lori.
It's one of the first ones I remember.
Not retarded enough.
From 80.
Wait, your poll today is Leo and Lori from 1980?
Yeah,
that's fucked up, Vic Henley.
Well,
because this isn't on a list of things to talk about today.
Well, that's my go-to. That's the first time.
How is that a go-to?
That's my go-to.
Because that's in my mind. That's my first memory of when people with Down syndrome or special needs or whatever we're calling it, not trying to be mean.
Right.
There was a made-for-TV movie, and this is my first recollection of when just everything you just said. I'm crying by the end. I'm a mess.
Well,
18-year-old Vic Henley was crying and just this tore me up.
Did they make Donnie Most look a little funny or how?
No, he just has to play it. He's just playing it.
But everyone knows
like Juliette Lewis in the other movies.
But she was a little slow.
Well, in real life?
No, in the movies.
No, but that's what he is too. They both are.
But how did he didn't seem that off?
How did he slow it down?
He did the same thing Juliette Lewis and Giovanni Ribisi did.
Because he made this movie when Happy Days was at the height of its success, and then you see this guy as someone a bit slower.
This is just about every point you just said. And that's right, yeah. Every time I see that picture, I can't remember the comedian, but I worked with some dude a million years ago, and it was appropriate because he would go on stage and go, "I'm Rocky Dennis, and I've got a headache this big." And that's someone's act. I wish I could think of who the fuck.
Wow.
I love it.
I think that was Paul Reiser.
I wish. So he wishes.
Oh, Gilbert Grape, yeah. Leo nailed it.
Fabulous.
Nailed it.
Yeah, Leo killed it.
Leo destroyed on that one. But so getting back to Born This Way on A&E, my wife basically said, "You can't watch this. You're going to make fun of it on the radio."
No.
And then I'm watching it. I'm like, I'm almost fucking crying because it's like fucking sad. And then you got one Down syndrome girl talking to her father, who obviously is sort of like not the greatest father, and he might not be the greatest father because of how she turned out. And you're like, holy fucking!
Yikes.
And all she wants is a hug from her damn dad. And then I'm getting into the show and for what it is, and it's like, it's pretty emotional, right? And then they show like coming attractions or like a past scene of one of these whether adults, one of these adults on a bike, and all of a sudden this person just rides into a shrub. I'm like, okay.
Oh, now
they also want you to kind of like laugh it up a little bit.
So is it like the regular real world where they like get drunk and hook up in a hot tub and fight over the rooms and all that?
It might as well be.
It's a reality show, so anything might be possible.
Yeah.
And one guy only wants to date like regular girls. He doesn't want to date Down syndrome girls, and so one of the Down syndrome girls is insulted by that.
Makes perfect sense.
But he truly believes that he could just date regular girls.
So many questions.
We could easily find clips to really goof on.
There's not everybody I've ever met that's personally involved with something like this. I'd love to hear what they had to say about it, because you totally embrace it and all the honesty and all the fabulousness. And then where do you get into put the clip of him riding into the shrub on the bike park?
Because that's what they want to show the whole time. Like My Big Fat Fabulous Life. These people that put these shows on, they're pure evil. They're way worse than what shock jocks were and edgy comedians, because they're making believe that, look, we're giving you a glimpse into something that's a little different. They're like, no, they figured out a way to put these shows on the air, and you're going to laugh and make fun of them.
Right. It's Barnum and Bailey. It's freak show shit.
Of course it is.
The same with the midget show.
Little People, Big World?
Yeah, exactly.
There's 42 of them.
Are we talking about the roll-offs?
That's who he loves. Don't get him started. Don't get him started on the roll-off. Excuse me. He loves the roll-offs.
Yeah, but there's always that scene where he can't reach the cookies. There's always that scene.
Yeah. But, you can't just... You can't just throw on a show where it's a whole bunch of people with Down syndrome and just you know what I mean. You got to polish it up and make it like you're making some kind of social statement, but it's bullshit. People are absolutely looking at these shows because it's extremely different, and like you said, it's a
modern day freak show.
It's the modern day freak show because you can't just put a freak show on TV. The outrage would be, Have
you seen the
crazy
the Little Divas? Do you know that one?
No.
They took the Real Housewives and Little People and made the little. And it's a little horror show. It's a little horror show, and it's just what you think it is, but it does exist. It's a real.
Wow.
I was flipping around at 3:30 in the morning and came across. No, that's something else.
Oh,
children. No, that's not children. That's somebody else on a. He just Googled Little Divas.
Oh, whoa!
It's the Little Women of L.A.
It's called Little.
Sorry,
I have not seen this.
You haven't? Oh, this is so. They're in like season 3 of this. I'm sure.
God!
So what season 5?
Season 5. I've never heard of this. They're kind of hot.
It's the Real Housewives, but little people.
Oh my God!
What is the purpose of this show?
The same as everything we just said.
It's supposed to be a freak show.
Yes,
it's the modern day freak show. And someone has to call it as it is.
He's that got midgets driving.
Well, they can drive.
They can drive?
They got special pedals. I learned that from Matt Roloff.
Oh, then she's doing Zumba. Wow.
Wait, is this the preview?
Yep.
For season 5?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Season
LA
5.
episode 9 preview. Yep. This is a preview for just one particular episode.
I got to watch this.
Yeah, push play on this.
I am part of the next season on Dancing with the Stars.
First little person on Dancing with the Stars. So proud of you.
My arms are short, so I'm going to hold the guy a lot closer to me, and I don't want his package right there. They want me to start 3 weeks after...
C-section? 3 weeks after C-section, there's probably still a little bleeding.
They're putting her on Dancing with the Stars?
Looks like
she's pregnant.
Yeah, she's got to start like 3 weeks after she has
she's
the
not
kid.
on. She must have not made it because I believe the cat. I was with my mom last week, who was very excited.
Were you holding your breath as they were announcing the cast? Were you?
My mom's on the phone with my Aunt Patsy. They're like 83 and 85. They are jacked up beyond belief
about the cast of Dancing with the Stars.
Now their life has purpose for another 4 months.
That's hilarious.
So, wow. I don't know. Maybe she was on 2 years ago. I don't know.
I didn't see Little Women of L.A. Yes, Paul.
There's 3 other spin-offs of Little Women.
See?
Jesus.
Wow, I did not know it was a huge franchise.
I thought Little Women was an old book. I had no idea. Look what it's become.
Louisa May Alcott would be spinning in her grave.
Exactly.
Right now.
There's Little Women, Tara's Little Family.
I think that was the one we saw. Her name was Tara.
Okay.
Maybe.
And then there's Little Women New York and Little Women Atlanta.
They've spun it off, baby. You were right. Franchise.
I didn't know there were that many little people.
They're fun to look at.
Oh, well, can't deny that.
Although our pal Brad Williams, it was the first time I actually got pissed off. Because I was walking with Brad Williams down 6th Street when we were down there for Moon Tower. We were hanging out the whole day. He ended up eating with us and whatever. And I started getting mad at how many people were staring and taking pictures of him. And he's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
they can stare and take all the pictures they want.
He doesn't care. He's used to it.
But when you actually know someone that is a bit on the small side, then you kind of you're Team Brad and you want to fucking fight everybody around you.
I can't.
But then when Brad's not around, if it was another little person that walks by, then I'm the guy staring and trying to sneak a video of them doing something goofy.
You really
do a handshake, please. Do a handshake so something will appear.
But we're all hypocrites, right?
Yeah,
yes,
of course.
Yes. You didn't know that was true amazement. You didn't know that little people could drive.
I had
you
no
had no
idea.
idea they were special. You didn't know they could drive.
It's a special pedal.
Wow.
That they have to install.
I mean, I thought a go-kart or something, maybe.
During a horrible blizzard here like 12 years ago, the dude that was supposed to drive me to some bad Jersey gig canceled, and Nick Nowitzki,
I know Nick.
Nick drove me to, I had a little person drive me in his car with special handbrakes in a blizzard.
What?
To a Jersey gig.
You're
yes.
crazy.
Yes.
What?
Me and him and a comic named Dustin Chafin.
Really?
Was he wearing an elf outfit?
No. It was funny because the only other time I was in the car with him, he was taking phone calls saying yes and no to what he would do in terms of, and it was funny to hear him sort of weigh it off.
Yeah.
You know, I will be Cupid, but for $700. I will not be on St. Patrick's Day. I will not do, but it was really funny. I was with him on one other show, and for 2 hours, it was just off and on. He's taking phone calls going yes and no. And I could still never figure out what his criteria was.
Sure.
Because they all seemed the same to me. Every one of them seemed to be taking advantage, and I'd hear him go, no, that's absurd.
Right.
And then the next one he'd go, oh, fuck yeah, I totally did that. Totally, I had no...
Wow, this one's hot. Little Women Atlanta.
Oh, she's pretty.
She's all right.
See,
Which one was she?
Twin Little Women in Atlanta. Twin Little Women in Atlanta.
Man, man.
Sometimes I whip, sometimes I nay-nay.
Is that their names?
No.
Oh.
Nene Leakes is on The Real Housewives.
I think someone has the joke, but I'm not going for the joke. I'm going for the reality of it. Like, when you sleep with a little person, it's sort of...
You feel big.
Right.
Mojo Nixon told me a story where,
somewhere in your mind, you're thinking this. You feel like you're having sex with a child, right?
No, there's pubes.
How do you know?
You've been there.
Well, I have midget porn.
See,
you've been there.
No, I have a midget porn. It's called Porno Bizarro. A midget fucks a really tall woman.
We back in the day we made a midget because we've established that term. We made one cry at NEW.
Oh wow!
She used to call us. It's an old story, but she used to call us and. She wanted to be a stripper, and we were doing a lot of that type of radio back then. So we're like, come in, show us your moves.
Oh, boy.
We'll grade you, give you some pointers. We felt like we were experts. And she started taking off her clothes, realized it was a bad idea. We might have been chuckling a little bit. And then she broke down and started crying and covering up and stuff. We felt like fucking
That's tough.
Complete assholes. I think Jack Black was in that day and Colin Hanks.
Ooh. That's a fun role.
Yeah. And they were looking at us like, what is wrong with you guys?
They were promoting Orange County.
I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
I think it was.
Why else would those two be in there together?
Right. Well, they love midget strippers.
I believe she realized, okay, yeah, this isn't for me.
In Ron White's act Forever, he had a joke about it. He saw your point, the video. He saw an old VHS if it was fat midgets fucking fat midgets 2. it was the sequel.
Yeah. Had to see the first one. I was lost.
Well, that's right. There was unanswered questions, but it's in Ron's act. He has a whole. That's the first time I heard about it. I didn't know that existed either.
But there's Little Women and there's Born This Way. They're the modern day freak shows in general.
They have it in Vegas. There's a like you go see the Lookalike show in Vegas. There's also the Lookalike Little Person show. I believe.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, you can go see fake Elvis and fake Little Elvis.
And Mini Gaga.
Yeah, that's mini Lady Gaga right there.
And a lot of these little people, they don't mind being exploited for their shortness. They make a lot of money off it. It's the PC police that are shutting down a lot of this stuff. A lot of these people are like, dude, this is our livelihood.
Right.
We make a lot of money doing some of this goofy shit.
And it's tough to get a gig for these guys.
Of course it is. Although Matt Roloff has done very well for himself.
Oh, he's made a ton of money.
With that farm.
Yeah, he's made a ton of money. He's
Little People, Big World.
Oh, okay. Is that him?
That's
yes.
him.
Not only is he a little person, he's spent his whole life walking with crutches. And,
what?
And he has figured out his shit.
Oh, man. I thought those were paper clips.
And he had four kids.
Whoa!
3 are quotes because they say it like this sort of normal size.
Yep.
And not only are they normal size, 3 of his kids are like really tall.
Really?
Like over, at least one of them's over 6 foot. Yeah,
One of the twins.
Family.
One of the twins.
There's his family.
Good looking fam.
I think the tall one and the one in the front are twins. I believe those two, maybe possibly.
They had twins. One was normal. One was born a little person. Yes. Yeah. I still watch Little People, Big World.
What a badass, huh?
They got it. There was one of those things where
he is a badass.
They survived every bit of this in like almost a 40-year marriage, and yet they're like now they're divorcing. It's like it's turned into the John and
They're officially
Kate
divorced. That was
right?
last season.
See,
damn,
they're officially divorced now. Amy and Matt are no longer.
Amy.
God, you can get through the struggles of being a handicapped little person, but not through a marriage.
To prove a point, right. Mm-hmm. That's how goddamn hard it is to be married. You can raise 4 brilliant children, get them off to college, have successful businesses. This thing was just a spinoff. This was icing on the cake, and yet at the end of the day, those two, I'm fucking tired of your shit. Yes. Still crept in somehow. Right. Fuck you. Get away from me.
You tiny cripple.
Yes. I'm going to hit you with my paperclip crutch.
Right. They were.
I just wanted to say
they were never supposed to be together, though, but because they're little people, back in the day, I think they were married for, I should know this, 30.
I guess close to 40.
No, it was 30. I'm going to go with 30, 20. Oh, shit, I knew, actually. It was close to 30 years, whatever. But back when they got together, they had to go to conventions. There was the only way they could meet other little people. So you go to a convention. You can't go to a million of them, so you go to one convention, and then you pretty much picked out your partner.
Right, it's like March of the Penguins. you find your mate,
So, I think little people in general are in a better place nowadays I'm sure there's all sorts of apps and other ways to connect, but back then, you had to convince your parents, look, could you send me to this convention? And then you go to a convention, and then you sort of were there, feeling the pressure trying to find someone that you would spend the rest of your life with.
Right.
So I don't think these two were ever supposed to be together.
I saw the episode where they went to one of the conventions. That's one of the few. You're a tried and true veteran of this.
I've seen every episode.
The kid. I remember one of the kids played soccer, and they're playing in a tournament. They're at the convention, and one of the activities is there's a soccer tournament, and it's the dude that's in like Pirates of the Caribbean. He has a whole team, and they practice and everything, and they're really good. And like the Roloff's kids going back to the dad, and he's like, Dad, they got uniforms. They're like practicing. Yeah. It's just that whole behind the scenes. They're going, well, just do the best you can.
Actually, Zach is a very good soccer player, even though he's a little person.
Yes. I imagine running from the
very
ball.
Good. He was very good. I believe he still he teaches soccer.
What? He teaches?
He coaches soccer. Yes.
I picture him running away from the ball like Indiana Jones in the boulder.
Right. No, he's actually very good. Him and his twin brother, who's Jeremy, who's full size.
See?
Mm-hmm. Jeremy was very good as well.
He's a strapping young lad, that Jeremy.
He's a very good-looking kid.
Well, he's good. He's got good footwork.
No, the Zach is actually really good at soccer.
Wow.
Yes.
He can go right through your legs.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing out there, so.
I love it that you know all these. I love it. I saw like 7 or 8 of them.
I watch stupid shit. Everyone's like, why aren't you watching Game of Thrones, you asshole? You know everything about...
Zach's going for a header. Are you kidding me?
My whole family got
together. Yes.
My whole family, my extended family down there in Philly, they get together and they talk about Game of Thrones. It drives them nuts. We've never really seen Game of Thrones. And I'm like, hey, anyone want to talk about Little People, Big World? I've seen every episode of that. And now we're watching Born This Way and crying like little girls.
Well, if it makes you more interested, there is a midget in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there you go.
Peter Dinklage, full circle.
There's a little person.
I actually have seen a couple episodes, but I got to dig in and watch. I was trying to watch Stranger Things over the long break.
Just got into it.
Good, right?
It's good. It just keeps you going.
Yeah.
I don't want to give anything away.
That one I'm definitely going to dig in finally and grab that.
Have you seen? I started watching Ray Donovan. Oh, that's wonderful.
I hear it's
I'm way behind on that. Yeah, but the first season I plowed through it. John Voight is just amazing in the first season.
Right.
Yeah.
It's every wrong thing possible.
Oh, really? I don't know anything about it.
It's sort of, I would say it's a little, Irish Sopranos, but Ray Donovan, Liev Schreiber, he's a fixer. He works for these two LA attorneys who are power guys, and so when your celebrity or whoever gets in trouble, he shows up and fixes it for you. But
like a hitman, or
he might if he maybe he's just going to get the camera and not let the pictures get out. Maybe he's going to beat you to death with a baseball bat.
He's like the wolf in Pulp Fiction,
and he does totally Robin Hood things where you see him totally be wonderfully kind in one scene, like a Tony Soprano, and then the next scene he's bludgeoning Panalino in the fucking bathtub like that. Something it fluctuates back and forth. So I thought it was really well done, and John Voight is amazing in the first season. They're up to season 4. I'm way behind.
All right.
I was on vacation and crammed in like 11 of these in a row.
Where were you on vacation?
I was down south visiting my mom. So I went to Alabama in August, which is what everybody does. because it's only 800% humidity.
Yeah, why would you go there in August?
I had a gig in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
So I went a week before and stayed 4 or 5 days later. Yeah, I sat and talked to my mom for too long.
Oh, yeah. I was just down south as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How was New Orleans? You went back to your hometown.
Same thing. He goes to Louisiana.
Well, he had a big hometown gig at a theater.
Crazy heat, crazy humidity, crazy mom, the whole thing. They came, my mom, my dad, and my brother came out to my show. My aunt, uncle, it was terrifying.
Where were you again?
The Joy Theater in New Orleans on Canal Street.
How many seats?
It's about 800.
Damn.
No, I know. I've seen it.
Nice.
I've walked past it.
Yeah, it's a beauty. But I didn't know I went down during Decadence Fest, which is
Decadence
like
Fest?
Our gay pride.
Oh, okay.
And it was bananas. I mean, it was just like shirtless gays with harnesses and, thongs and shit.
What's the harness about?
I don't know. I think it's like they want to look like gladiators.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of have a 300 thing going on.
Yeah.
But the funnest thing was leaving New Orleans at the airport. It was just hundreds of hungover gay guys now in like a polo shirt, just like, ugh.
Out of costume.
Yeah. And like now you're like, welcome back to society.
They got their sweaty leather costumes and their luggage.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you even clean that shit?
It's all packed away.
Wow, look how thin Jack Black was.
Oh, yeah. This is the pictures from, what was her name again? Patrice O'Neal was there that day, too?
Whoa.
There's Patrice. And
wow,
Ross.
look at this. You
And
can't
Ross.
because it's radio, but we'll tweet him out. So you got a very young Colin Hanks, who's
Who's reading
now
a magazine, by the way, and not talking at all.
No, he was beyond cool. And the story with Colin Hanks, he came in, and the first thing he said to me and Anthony was, "I'm a huge fan of your show." I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here." Tom Hanks' son is a huge fan of the show. I guess they're from Jersey originally. And he had friends taping our show because this was before any type of syndication where you could be heard around the country. And he was sent cassettes of our radio show. He goes, "I'm telling you."
Oh, that's great.
I'm sure he's tapped out,
whatever. That's
a long
still,
time ago. But back then when he came in, although he came in a couple years ago and he was still beyond cool. So, and then there's a very thin Jack Black.
Yeah. What year was that? Like 99 or something?
2002.
2002.
No. Are you sure?
I put the date up on the...
It says January 11th, 2002.
So that was close to us getting fired.
That was 8 months away.
I like how he rocks out. That was 8 months away.
Yeah, but when I see the year 2002, I'm like, I like to relive that fucking year.
Started out well. Look.
Started out well. There she is stripping for everybody. You thought I was lying.
11 days in, you got a little person stripper, Colin Hanks and Jack Black, and Patrice. That's a quadrifecta.
And Rich Voss. Did you say Voss?
Yeah, Voss is on there.
Well, that's the negative.
I'll put the uncensored photos up a little bit more.
What is...
Yeah.
You know what's creepy? You go back to that photo. Voss just doesn't age.
That's true.
He looked 60 in 2002, and now he's 60 and looking exactly the fucking same.
But a lot heavier.
What?
Yeah.
Don't say that.
No,
He's in
it's
good
true.
shape.
I have the photo of him and Jack Black together. I'll post in a little bit.
Yeah.
Where you can tell Voss has lost a lot of weight and...
Oh, he was heavier then.
He was heavier then.
Oh, yeah,
heavier
no,
then.
for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I thought you meant he's a lot heavier now. He'll fucking strangle you
He'll
on that
show
one.
up here.
Yeah,
Yeah, really. No kidding.
I'm in the car.
Yeah, right now. I'm on 48th Street.
No, but you could see how well Voss has progressed. Even though the face stays the same, you can see that he's lost a
His
lot of
face
weight since
is
then.
pretty much exactly the same. It's it's kind of creepy.
Well, he quit the drugs and the sauce.
And the sauce. So we'll post the pictures, but there she is stripping. She's all right.
No.
Who said no?
What's the problem with her, Eric?
Just she's got fucked up teeth.
And not much of a bod.
No.
Well, she's a little person. She
Oh,
doesn't have as much to work with.
I see.
She's on she's up on the counter there.
Oh, she's on the counter.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Her feet kind of end right there. I mean,
wow.
her legs.
All
are
right. Well,
there.
now I'm into it.
See, it looks like those legs would go on for days.
Yeah.
But the fact is,
No,
the legs
they
end
end.
like
She
later,
couldn't
right
see
there.
her if she was standing like the counter was right at her forehead, so they picked her up
I don't think they even asked. They just picked her up and put her up on the counter.
You know what's creepy about this show? There's listeners that know more about what happened that day than I do. Like, how did it end up? Were we laughing at her and then she broke down, or did she realize that, as she was stripping that this was a really bad idea and she broke down?
I don't remember her crying in this one until you said
Oh, she was crying. I'm not sure if the crying was on air.
Crying, but not this one.
Oh, yeah. Well,
is it like Irene Cara in Fame, in the movie Fame, where she's behind Coco? Oh, yeah. She starts, and then she just starts. Yeah, that's right.
Great movie.
I remember, wonderful movie. That's a horrible scene. Right.
I remember she was crying. I'm just not sure if it was on air or off air, but I'm trying to remember the exact reason why she cried. I think when she was stripping and seeing our reactions, I think we were trying. But Patrice O'Neal was there that day.
That's
He's
tough.
not going to hold back his shit whatsoever.
Not one time.
No.
So I bet you he just went with his over the top laugh that he used to do, and that might have been it. I would love to know, how that played out. I don't remember.
Picked the wrong day to come in.
With Patrice being there?
Yeah,
I agree
and
with
Voss.
you. Yeah. So the Joy Theater.
Yeah, it was just great. It was great.
It was a great set and
good times.
And Mom and Dad were there. Were they proud? They
were proud.
In your way? What was going on?
My act I'm doing this hour for Comedy Central, so my act has gotten a little edgier, a little more personal, and they don't know anything about me. So I was talking about my anxiety and, women I've fucked and racial stuff and gay, and so I think they were just like, holy shit, who is this kid? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You can feel it. You can see it on their faces.
Oh yeah.
How long had it been since they've seen you?
They only see me. I've been doing comedy about 10 years. They've only seen me 5 times, maybe. And now I've kind of come into my own. No, I got my own my own set together, and it's all about personal stuff. And I think they were kind of like, because we don't talk about anything. Me and my parents are there's a wall up.
Yeah.
There's no hugging. There's no.
No hugging.
Yeah. You get a pat every now and then, but there's no connecting. How you doing, son? Tell me about you. So this was I think a little eye opener.
Are they a lot older?
Yeah. Well, my dad's 70, and they're tough.
Wait, how old are you?
32. They're not that old.
That's not that crazy age difference.
They're military.
There you go. That's I can see that. Yeah, a little military, a little southern. That's a perfect repress.
Exactly.
Nobody says anything. Everything's fine.
Right.
Just salute the captain and walk on through.
Right. It's all about work.
Yeah, that's sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who was that naked broad?
There was a naked woman at your show.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Oh, all right.
Joy of Tease at the Joy Theater.
Oh,
they always do burlesque shit.
For a second, I got scared. I thought it was Lisa Lampanelli naked.
That is frightening.
No.
Well, because of the pink hair.
Yeah,
pink hair from the distance, obviously.
The body's much better.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. That's why I got scared. I saw the pink hair and I saw nudity. I'm like, don't tell me Lisa Lampanelli stripped down somewhere.
No.
God, burlesque is so stupid.
I think so, too.
What do you do? Yeah, just either become a stripper or move on.
Exactly.
What are you putting art into this?
Exactly.
It'd be like if I said, I'm going to fart music. No, just fart.
It's just weird. It's like rhythmic gymnastics.
Although it's pretty impressive when some of those guys fart out of tune, though.
Well, that is impressive, actually. Yeah, you're right.
They take it pretty seriously. They really know what they're doing.
Yeah, but these ladies with the feathers and they tease you like, get naked or don't. What are you doing?
So your parents, so obviously I would assume you killed.
It went well, yeah.
Probably almost a standing ovation. People losing their minds, 800 people. So that's got to be a weird thing. You're like, I know I'm killing it with my comedy and my material. And then you see your parents after the show, and then there's that weird, awkwardness. But it's working.
Exactly.
So how do you work that out in your head?
The whole time you're just going push through, and it's an hour set, so it's just an hour of going blah 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 blah. Come in my face, mom, blah blah blah, and just stay in the rhythm. Stay in the rhythm.
Did you know brutal. Did you know where they were sitting?
No.
Good
thank God.
But the whole time you're like, my mom and dad are out there right now hearing this shit.
Exactly. It was brutal,
and they're going to be pretty damn surprised what they're hearing.
I would equate it to trying to jerk off, and you can hear your parents in the next room.
Okay.
I agree with everything you said.
I can handle
put out of your head.
I can handle that.
You can handle that?
Yeah, I think I can handle that.
All right.
If you knew where they were sitting, I believe.
If I knew if
you knew where they were, would you have I would have a Tourette's twitchy thing. I would try not to glance over it if I knew. I would be like you and want to not know where they were, I think.
Don't tell me.
It would ruin the taping. I believe by the end, if I rewatched it, I would just see me just jerking to the left every single time because I knew there's where they're sitting over there.
Were you trying to tell them not to come?
Subtly, I was, but they're like, "It's the Joy Theater, we gotta go." It was an event.
Did they come backstage and go, "Well, Mark, that was interesting"? What was the?
Was there the backhanded,
or was it like, "Wow, that was really good"? Like, what was said?
We went out to eat after, which is tough. It's just face to face for an hour over at a restaurant, and it was just like, good set. Well, some interesting stuff. Really, you've developed as a comedian. They just basically want to be like, what was all that?
Right.
Gook stuff. That's what they want to say. I'm just joking. Asians. I don't have any Asian material.
That's hilarious.
But you can tell their eyes are watering. They want to be like, what was all that choking nonsense? But they're like, hey, I really like the delivery, and you got great presence.
Well, that is the right thing to say.
Yeah.
I would rather someone try to fake it and at least be using the terminology that I was used to.
Right, yeah.
They want to say, Mark, is it true that you choke girls when you come?
Right.
Or is that just for your act?
Yeah, and then my dad will do the thing later where we're watching a movie and some girl gets choked and he's like elbowing me like, I'm like, jeez. So it's tough, but I feel like, this is what I want to do is my life, my career. I can't
worry about it.
I gotta push them away. And I heard, I can't remember who said, a great writer. I can't remember who said this. It was a great quote. He said, you're developing in your art well when your parents don't like it. Or something like that, or like when you're scared to say it in front of your parents.
Sure.
And I think that's so true. Because that means you're becoming yourself and keeping it real and all that.
Well, do they when you're on TV and stuff? Do they call you and say, "Holy shit, that was a great set"? Or
I get a text,
a little text here and there.
There's always a dig. My mom's a digger.
That's what I get.
Fuck.
You get the dig.
Yep. Every time I could get a standing ovation.
Yes.
Like, you look fat. You gained weight.
Always a dig.
Yeah, some little something had nothing to do with it. It's always you look fat or you gained weight or why'd you have to say that particular one? I told the Henleys to quit coming to my show a million years ago.
Oh, good.
They haven't seen me in decades.
Yeah, I did Conan and my mom goes, it's not Letterman. It's always a dig. Digger, please.
Oh, parents.
I've seen my mom. That was really good. But that other show you were on, it seemed like they were a little more into what you were doing.
Right? Yeah.
I'm not saying that one was bad. It's just like they weren't laughing as hard on that one.
I know, Mom. You think I don't know they weren't laughing as hard?
I was fucking there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. My mom's now in a home, and I'll go every once in a while, and I'll be sitting talking to her, and all of a sudden she'll look at me and she'll go, "Your teeth are crooked."
Is that right?
I'm like, I go, "Mom, they've been crooked my whole life because you fucking didn't get me braces."
This is your fault.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah. You're just noticing now?
That's hilarious.
Maybe you should have noticed when it mattered. Now I don't give a fuck if my teeth, well, I do care if they're falling out of my face, but I don't give a fuck they're crooked now. But I certainly cared when I was, a teenager.
Yeah.
She'll look sideways. Your teeth are...
Yeah.
Really, you're just noticing
and not even trying to be mean. Just in a very observant, mom way.
Genuine way.
Yeah, totally. Not even any kind of pretense of malice in there at all. Just, I just noticed your teeth are crooked.
Yeah.
I gave birth to you. Right. I've been around you for 45 years.
Oh, she'll study me.
Yeah, your teeth are crooked.
The other thing is like, your hair is hanging in there. Hanging in there.
My mom told me I was getting fat again. She patted my belly and she goes, "You've been not doing anything this summer." And I'm like, "You're right. I haven't done a damn thing this summer."
Yeah. Don't you get worried when you walk in? When I walk into the room with my dad, I'm like, "Oh shit! Do I look tired? Do I look hungry? Did I shave?" Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Because here it comes. Right. I had lunch. My brother, which is very rare. I sat with both my brothers and my mom, so it's just the four of us. And this is all we grew up together. And I couldn't tell you the last time just the four of us have been somewhere.
Yeah.
And my middle brother and I hadn't shaved. And my older brother shows up looking like he walked off the runway somewhere, totally styling it. And within 8 minutes, he's like, "You couldn't shave, really? You're wearing a hat. You couldn't." I'm like, "We're at a barbecue joint."
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a man chopping pork over there.
Right.
What are you fucking really?
You can hear a pig squealing in the backyard.
Exactly. You're mad at me and him. Right. I'm like, he just got out of a boat. Be lucky he's here. He was fishing 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, my dad does this one too. Every time I've seen him for the last, 15 years, ever since I started living alone, he would say, "Are you cooking? Do you cook?" And I go, "Nah, I don't cook." And he goes, "Oof,
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't cook. What do you want?
He thinks you're not successful. You're not an adult, or there's some sort of you're not fulfilling your life.
Exactly.
Can't throw
He's like, how do you live? You don't cook. I'm like, I go out to eat. I buy groceries. I buy deli meat. What do you want?
But you also live in New York City. Most people in New York City don't cook.
Nobody cooks. We got Seamless.
Yeah, I mean, it's either takeout or you go to a joint.
Especially with one.
Most people do not cook in New York City.
No, nobody's cooking.
It's very rare to see someone.
Cheaper. Usually one person can eat cheaper, not in New York City, but in New York City, one person can totally eat cheaper than if you go out and buy.
Wherever you live in New York, there's literally 20 places that are worth getting food from.
Yep.
Right, and then I'm on the road a lot, so you buy a bunch of shit, you come back and it's all rotten.
Totally.
Right.
So I'd rather just go out to eat, get a sandwich.
I want to ask you about Europe with Amy Schumer and all that, but I think we got to take a break because we're fucking packed today.
Yeah.
We got Mark Norman and Vic Henley. We got Ben Mezrich coming in. He's our writer pal. He did 21, and you remember that movie with Kevin Spacey.
Uh-huh.
He writes a lot of fucking books, this guy.
Bestseller, New York Times.
Oh, more than once.
Yeah.
This guy knows how to write a book. I did not read his book because I read Matt Pinfield's book, and he's coming in today.
Uh-huh.
So we got two authors coming in. And then we also have Bill Burr stopping in to say hi.
One of the best in the biz.
He's unbelievable. I was on a Bill Burr loop last night.
Yeah.
I was just sort of trying to catch up on Bill. And
I got to find out, are they doing, we'll just wait and ask him. I hope they get another season of the...
Oh, they are.
Oh, great.
Funny show.
Yeah, I was going to say.
F is for
really
Family
enjoyed it.
is coming back.
Yeah, F is for Family, right.
I think they're looking at May of 2017.
Okay, cool.
You know, the animation takes forever.
That's why I hate to spoil that for everybody.
No, he's got a season 2, and I believe they're looking at May.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
2017, unless that has changed.
Hilarious.
Bill Burr, I would say the number one most imitated comic right now.
Bill?
Easily.
Really?
As a guy who's on the comedy scene in New York.
When you're telling stories, everybody does a Burr?
No, I mean, like, you go on the road, and you hear some kid, and you go, oh, he's doing Bill Burr.
Oh, I got
It's so blatant.
Oh, I thought, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's got it.
No, I know what you're, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's many.
Oh, yeah. I remember I know when I would go around for a while, and I'm like, everybody's doing a tell.
Everybody was doing a tell.
There was a while where I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, like, fucking Topeka. And I'm like, this dude's doing a tell.
Yeah, exactly.
And not really, but really.
Yeah.
Trying to do a tell.
But I mean, you would almost
no one
be
can
like,
do a tell.
Is this fucker wearing headphones and sleeping?
Right.
Because the cadence and the rhythm, the jokes wouldn't be there at all. But you would literally be, it's like, somebody learned to play the guitar and I'm going to learn every Dave Matthews song.
Tell, man. He did a joke about getting your clit pierced, and this woman in the front goes, and he goes, did your mom die that way? Oh, man. He's the funniest guy.
Everyone puts him on their list.
Yeah, he's easily...
Most of you guys put David Tell on your list.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Come on.
Most of you put him up there. So, Bill Burr's playing the Paramount in my hometown of Huntington, Long Island tonight.
And a great venue, too.
2 shows.
Nice.
Which is huge. It's a great venue. You're 100% right. I would assume they're both sold out. Maybe there's a ticket laying around here and there, but
I love that room though. Those guys, the owners there, they're amazing. That whole thing.
Love them.
That's a sweet,
love those
sweet
guys.
gig, yeah.
They always take care of me when when I'm home.
Damn, look at these days. He must be on a jet just looking at these dates.
He's flying himself around on his own helicopter.
No.
He's a helicopter pilot.
I knew that.
I'm lying, but yes.
That would be pretty sweet, huh?
He's Travolta.
Yeah.
He's just piloting himself to each gig.
Yeah, he's got Huntington, then Charleston, South Carolina, then Charlotte, North Carolina, then it just goes on and on. My God, BillBurr.com to see where he's coming.
Yeah, crazy.
Or going to, I should say. So we got a very, very busy show. And Jimmy's in Australia. He'll be back on Monday, I believe, I think. Or maybe later this week. I'm not 100% sure on that. So, what do you guys got to plug there, Mark?
Oh, hey, come out this weekend, starting tomorrow, at Stand Up Live in Phoenix. Come on out, folks. Let's fill that room. And then I'm doing Hilarities in Cleveland, Madison, Wisconsin's Comedy Club on State, Punchline in San Francisco in October. All that stuff, and then Tuesdays with Stories on iTunes. Check out my podcast
with Joe List.
Yeah,
very cool. Vic, what do you got?
So I got Kathleen Madigan September 16th and 17th in Pittsburgh and Baltimore doing shows with her. Yeah, absolutely. And then Omaha Funny Bone coming up next month. Yeah, I love that gig.
Sweet. All right, we got like I said, Ben Mezrich around the corner, Bill Burr and Matt Pinfield. Stay there. It's Mark Norman today.
Hey.
It's Vic Henley today.
He's coming in.
And we got Ben Mezrich outside the studio. He's quite the author. I've been talking to this guy forever. How many years ago did we meet there, Ben?
It was, maybe
10?
More than 10 years.
At least 10 years now?
Yeah.
At least 5
years.
or 6 books, probably?
I've written 18 books, but people only read about 7 of them.
18?
Well, people only really read 2 of them. But
Which 2? You go
the Social Network one and Bringing Down the House.
Bringing Down the House, which was an amazing book.
Yeah, thank you. That was 2002 that book came out.
So that's when we met.
Yeah, that's
2002.
when we met.
14 years ago?
14 years.
And this is your 18th
You
book?
look younger. You look like you're getting younger.
I'm trying, brother.
Yeah,
I'm trying. I got the stress out of my life. Eating
good.
better.
Eating better?
Lost a few pounds, a few lbs.
Yeah, you look great. No, I've been here forever. Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
That's Mark Norman, and that's
How you doing?
Vic Henley.
Hey, of course, good to see you.
And I took up fishing this summer.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
It's a good, you can sit there for hours.
Until a hook gets caught deep in the fish, and then you go into complete panic mode because you don't want to fucking hurt the thing, even though you are hurting them by yanking them out of the water. It doesn't make sense, I understand.
Right.
But sometimes they get stuck way down in their stomachs, and you're like, oh, fuck. Anyway, we'll talk about that another day. This is your 18th book, The 37th Parallel.
Yes, 37th Parallel. It's my, my 18th book, and it's my first book about the UFO world.
Nice.
And I got to tell you, I was absolutely blown away in the process of writing this book. I went into it a skeptic. I come from a family of scientists, and I write about young people who do crazy things in math and science. And then as I dug into this story and followed this story in, I kind of changed my opinion about it. And
you believe in UFOs?
I believe now that there is very good evidence that something crashed at Roswell in 1947 that today we still can't identify. I also believe that there's a very good chance that at least one time we've been visited in the last 40 years or so. And I also think that in the next few years, there's going to be a lot of information coming out that's going to blow people's minds. And that's kind of what the book is about. But
how did this begin? How did you get...
Sure. So this story, 37th Parallel, is about Chuck Zukowski. This is a guy who was a reserve sheriff's deputy in Colorado who was investigating a cattle mutilation. Cattle mutilations is this incredibly bizarre phenomenon in the Midwest where 10,000 cows and horses have been found lying on their left side, missing organs like heart, an eye, lungs, completely drained of blood. They often look like they've been dropped from a height. The situation got so bad in the 70s that 3 state governors petitioned the Attorney General of the United States demanding an FBI investigation. The FBI did a 10-year investigation and came to no conclusions. And you can, there's a Freedom of Information Act. You can get that FBI file. Tons of the pictures of all these mutilated cattle. No one's been arrested. There's no evidence.
We're looking at some of them online right now.
Yeah.
I've heard about this.
They're really
thing.
bizarre. And it's something you don't read about, in mainstream media.
Maybe it's a sick fuck.
For 75 years? I mean, he's,
maybe it's
a big family like cannibals or something. I mean, there have been theories. One of the FBI theories was a huge cult. A biker gang was one theory. Medical experimentation by some private company. The military. There's been all these different theories.
Those aren't too outrageous.
No, none of them are too outrageous. There's no evidence.
Far-fetched.
There's no evidence to any of them.
Okay.
So Chuck, our main character here, was a sheriff's deputy. He was looking at this, and he started to say UFOs. He got fired from the sheriff's department.
Wow.
And became a ufologist. He got an RV, puts his family in the RV, and he goes from UFO site to UFO site trying to find evidence of UFOs. His wife is not a believer. She's like a complete skeptic. She supports him, does 2 jobs to support his hobby.
Yeah.
Wow.
She had a great quote. I asked her why she was doing this, and she said, it could be worse. He could be off having affairs. He's just looking for aliens.
Yeah.
And so she puts up with it, and he started to have run-ins, and this is true. There's an aerospace company. This is where the story gets really crazy, called Bigelow Aerospace. Space, which is a $1 billion. They make pieces for the International Space Station. They had a piece on the last SpaceX launch, not the one that blew up, but the one before it, run by a reclusive billionaire who made all his money on Budget Suites of America. And they have been secretly investigating UFOs for 25 years in conjunction with the FAA. If you look at the FAA manual that all of our civilian pilots use, in it, if a pilot sees something, they don't report it to the FAA, they don't report it to the U.S. government, they report it to Bigelow. So a private company has taken over investigations. Nobody knows really why. The conspiracy theorists think that they're reverse engineering, alien tech, all these different things. Bigelow has been looking at UFOs his whole life and is using his fortune to try and find the truth. He bought something called Skinwalker Ranch. That's another famous story. Skinwalker Ranch is this ranch in Utah where all these weird things have been happening. Skinwalkers, they're called. It's a Native American myth. These giant animals appear and cattle is mutilated. There's, UFO sightings. Bigelow bought the ranch, closed it down, and installed a bunch of scientists in it who have been recording data in there. And they haven't found any smoking guns, but they do have, photos and radar stuff, and they have all this weird information. So the story gets pretty wild. It ends in Roswell. Well, it kind of ends in Roswell. It gets into Roswell because Chuck goes to Roswell and does an archaeological dig at the debris site and finds a piece of debris. He then puts out a press release saying, will anybody help me analyze it? Bigelow scientists respond to him. He sends the debris to them, and they analyze it and say what they found doesn't fit with anything they've ever seen before, but they can't say whether it's alien or human, and then the piece disappears, and they kind of stop contacting him. So it's kind of this weird, wild story. It gets really involved, but it's all about this UFO highway, 37th parallel, that kind of runs across the United States where all these things occur.
Why is it this certain highway?
Well,
or
what he found is that the majority of UFO sightings, cattle mutilations, all occur on the 37th parallel, which is a latitude across the United States that goes through Colorado and Utah, New Mexico. It also happens that most of our military bases are on that line. The Pentagon, Cheyenne Mountain, White Sands, they're all on the 37th parallel, and almost all American Indian burial sites are on the 37th parallel, and they have a very big UFO component to them. Native Americans believe in aliens. They've believed.
I always just thought it was the military because they got to test this stuff before the public knows about it. So like the stealth bomber.
Stealth bomber.
There was a time people would see that in the air and go, what the fuck, that's a UFO.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward a whole bunch of years and then they finally introduce
when
it.
They were developing drones, they all had to have looked like UFOs. And that's all very true. So in the 80s, Bigelow's scientists were studying something called the Big Black Delta. During the 80s, most of the UFOs people saw were giant black triangles that moved at incredible speeds. Turns out what Bigelow's scientists found was it was a military project making kinetic blimps. So they made these big black blimps that were massive, like the size of a football field, that could rise straight up but move very quickly. And that was a military black ops project. So yes, 99.9% of this stuff is military.
Okay.
I would say almost all of it is.
Okay.
And that's still an interesting story because it's completely covered up. The military uses the UFO thing as a cover story. During the 60s, they would send Air Force officers to UFO symposiums because if people thought it was a UFO, they didn't look very deeply into it. And so they could test their stealth bomber right in the public. Everyone says, oh, it's a UFO. The Air Force would say, oh, maybe it's a UFO. And no one would look deeper. Yeah. And so that was part of their cover-up project. But that doesn't explain Roswell because the American military still has no idea what it is. One theory is that it was Russian, that the Russians flew a saucer to try and scare the Midwest, basically, because it was after the War of the Worlds thing. Remember that crazy radio show? Yeah. So that was one theory. But today, you would think we would know what that was, and those files would be released.
Do we have an alien?
Do we have one?
Yeah.
You know, people think we do. I don't think we have an alien. The Roswell story was a mortician was asked for a bunch of child-sized coffins by the Air Force Base. Someone claims to have seen small big-headed bodies at Roswell. There's no real evidence of any of that. I will say, Hillary Clinton recently, right? She said
she's tiny with a big head.
She's kind of small. She said she's coughing a lot. She said the aliens got to her. She said that
she'll go Little Women
if elected. One of the first things she will do is try and open up these UFO files. And when asked if she believes we were ever visited, she said, "I wouldn't be surprised." And this is someone who had access to
that's how you explain Trump, right, guys?
Right. Exactly. And then her chief of staff is a big UFO believer. Bill Clinton was a believer.
Well, he's from Arkansas. That's mandatory.
That's Carter was a believer.
Same thing, Georgia. Once you get into the southern states,
Reagan believer.
He thought he was a hillbilly.
He was Hollywood.
He thought he was a hillbilly. He had no idea he was from Illinois.
But it's amazing the level of belief at very high levels in the aeronautics industry, in NASA, astronauts. Politicians, there is a lot of belief. So I feel like we're moving towards some sort of an.
Didn't one of the astronauts see some shit?
Yeah, claimed to.
Was it Buzz Aldrin?
I'm trying to remember which one.
No, it wasn't. No, it was the other guy.
See, the author knows.
Scott.
Was it
Armstrong?
No, it wasn't Armstrong. I can't remember the name.
We'll look it up real fast, but I believe it has.
One of them had
Gordon Cooper.
Gordo.
Thank you, Travis.
Right,
I did not come up with that one.
No.
Gordon Cooper.
Old Gordon.
And then, of course, like you said a little earlier, a lot of pilots have seen stuff, and you could listen to some of that stuff online.
And that's crazy. One of the big things that's in the book is the whole Foo Fighter thing. Before it was a band, the term Foo Fighter actually comes from the 1940s. During World War II, American and UK pilots flying over the Rhine in 1945 started to see weird fireballs that would travel along with their planes. If they turned towards them, they'd disappear and then they'd reappear. It got so big that the New York Times had a cover story. Is this some weird German weapon? When we captured all the German scientists after the war, our intelligence agencies went to them and said, what were these things? And they said, we'd never heard of these things. So these Foo Fighters was a real phenomenon seen by hundreds of pilots, written about in newspapers all over the place, never explained. And then 2 years later, you have Roswell. So it's all kind of in the same time period. It's also coincides with the development of nuclear weapons. Many, if not most, UFO sightings occur near nuclear weapon bases, which could have two answers. One being foreign military spying, and the other one being there's some reason why some other civilization would be interested in nuclear weapons because they're a signpost to a society that's
all military.
That's raised to a certain point.
I'm convinced it's all military.
I mean, I would say most, if not all, but the possibility that there was one thing that wasn't, I think, is more and more clear to me.
And why the 37th parallel? Why is all the
that's
sightings?
A good question. So Chuck found that there's a large confluence of events along this way. He starts to investigate along it, and he comes up with some of his own theories. One of them being an underground cavern system that exists there that for some reason is attractive to whatever's doing this. That's probably why the military chooses it, because they like to take existing cavern systems. Pentagon goes down many levels, be the Pentagon. Sure. And so the idea is that you use existing caverns. I don't think there's a real answer to that question yet, but I do think there is a lot of paranormal events going on along that line.
But now we all have cell phones, so why haven't we seen any?
Well, listen, that's the thing is that photos occur every day, but none of them are conclusive.
That's what I mean. One where you're like, okay, look at this.
Part of the reason is just though your expectations are very high. You're expecting us to have a flying saucer land on the White House lawn, and that's pretty much all a skeptic will accept as proof. A little light in the sky is kind of meaningless. So there is thousands and thousands and thousands of cell phone pictures, but they don't mean anything because they're no more clear than a photograph.
Well, a lot of experts talk about how we're trying to find life in the universe that is a lot like ours, and that is kind of ridiculous to think, considering how old the universe is. That it could be something so extreme and so different that you couldn't even wrap your head around.
Right. I mean, the likelihood is that it will have nothing to do with us, that it won't look anything like us. But I will also say, every day we're finding new Earth-like planets. Every day the idea of life outside of us becomes more certain. Almost everyone now believes that somewhere out there something else exists.
I've always believed that.
Well, 20 years ago most people did.
I know.
Yeah, and now most people do. And I think that same change is going to happen with UFOs. 20 years ago, we believed it was impossible people could get here because of the distances. Now we know that's not true. our own technology is getting to the point where we can get to some of these places. And if that's the case, a civilization that's 1 billion years older than us certainly could get here.
Right.
So that's not a barrier anymore.
Right.
So my question to people who don't believe we've ever been visited is why not? Why are you so against that idea?
Right.
I understand if you don't believe there's life on other planets, but we know that's probably not true.
Right.
I understand if you believe the distance is too vast, but we now know that's probably not true.
Right.
So what's your problem with that?
Well, my thought would be this. If their technology is so more advanced than ours, why would they even have to visit the planet?
Well,
they
we're
would
trying to visit.
They
We're
would
trying to
understand the
visit.
universe on a level.
Well, that's a good question. But you know what? Maybe they're not trying to visit it. Maybe they shot 1,000 probes off in 1,000 different directions, and one of them crashed here.
There you go.
It's as simple as that. That's what we're doing now. We're shooting probes off every day.
And aliens would not be scared of us if they could get here.
If they could get here,
so
they could.
Why haven't we seen UFO sightings in big metropolitan? Why is it always this out of the way?
Well,
place?
I mean that's a good question as well. Possibly because you can't really see anything in a big city. You're not going to see anything in the sky in a big city. Most likely, if something did crash, I think it was just a scatter shot. It wasn't a person in it. It wasn't like a creature. I think it was just some random probe that hit us, and that was it. But if there really is an aerial intelligence that's interested in us, who knows? There's no real answer to that. It could be a tourist. It could be as easy as they're looking for a food source. They could be just traveling by. Know, it's there's a million different reasons why we're going into space and what we're trying to do. So there's no reason to think that they wouldn't be trying to do the same thing.
Did you study what is it? Oh God, the black satellite or something like that?
I don't know the black.
That is very mysterious. That just kind of is in orbit around the Earth. Could you look that up?
Are any of your regular peers thinking you've gone goofball UFO crazy?
No,
Are you getting flack from people that knew you for a long time and they think you're now looking for Sasquatch?
I knew that. So mainstream media doesn't cover it. Real journalists don't cover it. The only magazine that ever really covered cattle mutilation was We, that porn magazine from like the 70s. So, they had a
that's really not going to help your cause
about it. It's not in the New York Times or something like that.
What about Swank?
Swank didn't have anything.
Swank didn't have the in-depth journalism.
Swank or
right next to the picture of a girl trying to put a human head in her pussy is the cow mutilation.
You should see the article too. I was quite amazed by it. It was incredibly well researched, and that person obviously couldn't sell it anywhere other than We magazine.
Wow. I haven't thought about that in years.
Open-minded. Yeah. So I mean, it's a great So when I looked at it, I thought, well, why can't anybody write about it? Why can't a scientist study it? If 1,000 people see something, even if 999 of them are nuts, why isn't someone looking at that? And it's not 1,000 people; it's tens of thousands of people. So. That's part of what this whole cover-up is. It's not a cover-up necessarily, but it's the fact that there's such a high mocking factor to this world that no one looks at it. So I wanted to tell the story of just this guy who becomes obsessed. It's very Close Encounters. And through his story, you see the story of UFOs. Now, in the course of doing that, I've come to the conclusion that I think something really did happen. But I don't know. I don't have a problem with, listen, I've written books that have been controversial before, and there are people who trash my books no matter what I write about. So I don't really have a problem with that. My dad is a scientist, and I expected him to hate this, and he loved the book. He read it, and he was like, listen, I'm not going to believe in UFOs, but I think it's interesting, and it's a world that really hasn't been looked at, and it's intriguing. And I think that's what's interesting to me. It's not necessarily, I don't care if people believe in UFOs or not. I think people should look at it, though.
I think enough years have gone by that someone that worked at Roswell would have talked by now.
Well, people have. And when that photograph was taken, so basically, the story of Roswell? These are the facts of Roswell. In 1947, a nuclear base, Walker Air Force Base, which is where the planes that bombed Pearl Harbor were sitting, okay? They tracked some object flying through a storm in the middle of the night. Whatever that was crashed onto a ranch, Mac Brazel's ranch.
Right, Dwight Yoakam.
He calls the sheriff. The sheriff calls the Air Force Base. They send out Air Force people. They take some of the debris. It's silvery debris covered in hieroglyphics. Multiple witnesses see it. They take the debris back to the Air Force Base, and they put out a press release that says, we have now in our possession a flying saucer.
Wow.
The Air Force puts that out. A few hours later, they rescind their press release. They take all the debris and put it on a plane. Then they do a photograph with this radar operator and a bunch of debris and say this was an experimental weather balloon. Years and years later, everyone involved in that photograph has said that was a faked photograph. The guy in the photograph, the photographer who took the photograph, the person who ordered the photograph.
The photographs we're looking at right now? Okay.
That's the photograph that everyone has admitted was fake.
Okay.
That debris was then carried to Area 51, where it sits today. There are files about that debris that call it the unidentified debris. And those are the files that Hillary Clinton is trying to get released, among other people.
Really?
Now, that is a strange story.
Of course it is.
They're obviously covering something up. I mean, you would say, okay, it was a foreign military spying on us. This was 1947. There were not spy planes. There were not, we had just made the atomic bomb. This was the midst, right before or during the Cold War. The technology wasn't that great. We were years from going to the moon. Airplanes were not what they are today.
So what you're saying, 70 years later, the public...
70 years later, we would know exactly what it was.
The public could handle it if it was some kind of military
and
thing
from us or another country. It definitely wasn't a weather balloon.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, was odd. Now, one theory was that it was the Russians were trying to scare us with a fake flying saucer, that they made it look like a flying saucer, and they put hieroglyphics all over it. It's an interesting theory. Maybe true, maybe not. I think... it would be interesting to know more about what it is they have. But when you just think about that, it's really wild. And the fact that there aren't, people demanding it, is interesting to me.
Sure.
It's a piece of history that ought to be out there.
Vic, where you at with this?
I'm with him. I said Dwight Yoakam earlier because he played the rancher. The first movie I saw about this was a Showtime film, and it was one of the first things he was in, and I didn't know hardly anything about it until I saw this movie, and then I started digging around a little bit, and then Belzer's a big... Richard Belzer.
He's a big believer.
He's a big, anything he can poke holes in, he loves. And I'm kind of with it. It's an interesting debate. I don't know. The hillbilly in me goes, hell yeah. And then the pragmatic person goes, fuck no.
Right. Well, right. So the two sides, right.
Do you get into the probing in your book?
Well, I don't get into specifically the abduction and probing thing, which is a really big phenomenon on its own. Yeah. I don't know anything about that. I mean, thousands of people have claimed to have had it happen.
Aliens are obsessed with our heinies.
But,
What's that about?
I had it last night.
Yeah, that's a weird thing too, and I don't really know a lot about that. I don't know if it's linked to
you didn't get into the
cattle, whatever they're doing to the cattle. I did not get into it.
Oh, the cattle thing. Sorry, going to my back to that point. Enough years have gone by with that where someone would have came forward and said, "This is why they're all being
someone
mutilated."
Would have been arrested at one point.
You would assume somebody would have.
And when it happens on these ranches, there's never any witnesses. There's never happens in the middle of the night. There's no signs of struggle. It happens very quickly.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra, right? It's and that is one of the problems, by the way, when you research a book like this, is you're talking to someone and they sound pretty rational when they're talking about UFOs, and then suddenly they're talking about Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and like whatever happened to them when they were 12 years old, and you're like, okay, let's just focus on one thing for a minute. And you know what? Some people are too easy to believe, and some people are too hard to believe.
Right.
I think there's a middle ground.
Right.
Yeah.
So you didn't go the abduction angle.
I didn't. I think there's a whole book to be written in that.
On the abduction angle, you stayed away from that.
I stayed away from it entirely. I feel like it's too hard to interpret fact-wise. It's people's accounts.
Sure.
There's no evidence of anything.
Go back to the black satellite thing. Because I brought it up. Some people believe this thing is like 13,000 years old. They call it the Black Knight satellite, claimed by some conspiracy theorists to be an object approximately 13,000 years old of extraterrestrial origin orbiting Earth in near polar orbit. And there's an actual picture of it. Bill Burr, what's up, buddy?
I don't know what that is.
Ben, you know Bill Burr?
Hi.
What's up, Bill?
How you doing, Ben?
How are you, Ben? Bill. Nice to meet you.
We're talking about UFOs.
UFOs, okay.
And Roswell and
cattle mutilation.
Disappearance of Jim Norton. Where is he? Australia?
He's in Australia until Monday.
Jim always said he'd never go overseas, so right there, that's a red flag to me.
Well, we've been telling him he needs to do that for years, and he finally has done it. So I'm sure he'll have some stories when he comes back.
If it is, in fact, Jim Norton.
Yeah, exactly. Ben's from Boston as well.
I am.
Oh, all right.
This is his 18th book. It's called The 37th Parallel. And it's all about the secret truth behind America's UFO highway.
Secret truth about America's UFO highway.
Do you think we've been visited by other beings there, Bill?
No.
Not at all?
No, because we always go out into space and we find nothing. I find it to be one of the most,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's just mind-numbingly boring. All that people talk about is the expanse of the universe and how small we are and how insignificant we are. But if you look at every other planet, we're crushing it.
We are crushing it.
Like if you had to stop at any other planet, they always make these aliens come here and they're all like, oh, this isn't shit. It's like, dude, you've been to Venus? It's just a bunch of gas. There's nothing sustainable in this whole part of the air. Well, you hit the spot.
The argument would be we haven't gone far enough.
Right.
We're only on the surface of actually moving.
But we're definitely the best in our neighborhood.
There you go. There we go.
Certainly.
But you have to look.
Hey, Opie, fair enough. That's my new expression to avoid arguments.
Just say fair enough.
Fair enough. We haven't gone far enough. Dude, it works 100%. Fair enough. I love fair enough. Fair enough is the shit.
I'm with you. I think a lot of these UFO sightings were military shit we were working on, way before they presented it to the public.
Did you kill that woman? No, I did not. We have video. Fair enough.
Fair enough is better than...
No one gets mad. Nobody gets me. Can't get mad with fair enough.
It's better than agree to disagree. I hate that one.
Agree to disagree is
the worst.
cunty.
Yeah, because that's
totally cunty.
Yes.
It's passive-aggressive. It's cunty.
It is cunty because you're basically saying to the person, you're full of shit.
You're wrong, but we'll just move on.
Someday maybe you'll see it my way.
Right.
What about I respectfully disagree? Just as cunty?
I can live with that. I can live with that. It
we're saying
depends.
respect. You don't mean it.
No, it depends on how you hold your body.
What do you mean by that?
I'm with it. I like it.
Yeah, like the way you just said it, you got your hat on. This guy's down to earth. Are you rubbing your? Yeah, I respectfully just. This guy thinks he's better than me. He thinks he's better than me.
If you're just itching your balls as you say that, you're good.
Fair enough, dude. Fair enough. That's the way to go, dude. It works. It makes your wife mad though.
Really?
Because they can't keep being mad at you. It's like, all right, fair enough.
But I mean, the Roswell thing though is that one is a strange,
very odd story
from 1947, Bill, where they said, look, we captured a UFO, and then all of a sudden they kind of
changed their mind.
Quickly.
Gathered up the debris from a crash, put out a press release saying we have now in our possession a flying saucer, and then rescinded their own press release, faked a photograph with a weather balloon, and then shipped it all off to Area 51 where it sits today. And there are memos from today that still describe it as the unidentified debris.
Do you think because of that debris and what they learned from that, you now have self-parking cars?
That's right, self-parking. Well, people actually thought, I don't know if I buy this, but
question,
that Mylar and night vision came right after Roswell. The transistor came shortly after that. So all of these things did happen right after that.
Right. Those weren't the German scientists that we were like, all right.
German scientists that we captured all of them.
Yeah, but then they could give us all this stuff, so we kind of overlooked all their murders.
We let, as long as they were making stuff for us,
as long as you can make audio tape, we're good with
right,
it.
We're okay with you, exactly.
We're like, no, in the last 9 years of your life, that was a little questionable.
Yeah.
Sewing people's heads together and stuff. But look at that recorder this guy made.
Right.
Well, I can leave the house with music now.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Now we're good.
He's not all bad. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Now I understand the big picture. Call that. You had to do that to get your mind around what you really want to work on.
Right.
So you think, without a doubt, now how do you...
I will say that, I wrote a story about a guy who went down this rabbit hole and became a big believer, and through the research, I now believe that there's a very good chance something crashed at Roswell that we covered up for some reason. I also believe that there's a lot of more evidence than people would realize, and that things are changing now. We're getting closer to some sort of revelation about it.
What level... security do you have to get? Like, how many tests do you have to go? How many times they got to send you around the centrifuge and everything before they're just like, all right, this guy's one of us. We can send him in to Area 51.
Well, Area 51 is wild. They blindfold the people who work there. They drive them in the middle of the night. They work a little shift, and then they bring them out. Nobody really who works there knows what anybody else is working on. It's incredibly secretive there. And very few people have ever talked about. You sign these lifelong confidentiality agreements where you'll go to jail if you ever mention it again.
Once you blindfold me and I'm driving in, I'm not saying shit to anybody. My whole time is like, I'm just waiting for the gun click.
Right. I mean, they didn't even admit that Area 51 existed until WikiLeaks. And that's when we first even heard the term Area 51. It was never existed before.
What year was that?
A few years ago.
No.
10 years ago.
No.
Area 51.
since it
No,
happened.
people have known about it. They've never admitted that Area 51 existed. There's never been an official document.
What about
Area
the
51 on it.
documentary Independence Day?
Except for the documentary Independence Day. People knew about Area 51. The military never admitted to it. But that was a great documentary.
That was amazing.
Yes, it was.
Especially the second one. You ever see the second one?
They made a second one?
I didn't see that one.
What?
You like
summer,
part
I've
two?
never heard of it.
This summer, there was a sequel to
Yeah, it just
Independence
came
Day.
out.
Like
No one
2
saw
or 3
it.
months
Was Will
ago.
Smith in
No,
it?
Will Smith
No,
wasn't in it.
not even Will showed up.
That's a red
No.
flag.
Not even Randy Quaid either. My favorite person.
Well, he's off the D.
Randy Quaid.
Randy
he might
Quaid
be an
should have
alien.
fucking been in that movie.
They should have. They should have
So
brought him back.
Why hasn't WikiLeaks
Gone into this? Well, these
released
files are
this-
pretty secretive,
released
but
these files.
people are getting closer and closer to it. And I think that within a few years we're going to get there. You know what's interesting is even the Catholic Church has now changed its official opinion on life on other planets.
Well,
Have
that's
you
that
noticed
new pope. He's all progressive.
Right. Well, a lot of people think that they're getting ready for what they think is inevitable. So previously the
What's
Catholic
the
Church says
inevitable?
we're the only game in town.
All right.
Now the Catholic Church says there might be life on other planets. That doesn't affect Catholicism. So I think religions are getting ready.
It kind of
for some
does.
sort of
If you look at
would
their
think
story.
it does. I mean,
It kind of fucks up the beginning of the movie.
Of course it does. We're going to need a rewrite.
yeah, the ending does change the beginning a little bit, but
You think there's life out there, Bill Burr?
I remember, who's that guy, the black dude, scientist, who just like, you don't even have to be,
DeGrasse Tyson. Neil
you don't even
deGrasse
have to be smoking weed. He will freak you out.
Yeah.
Like that guy freaks
Love
me
him.
out. The
He's
stuff that he
He's
talks
wonderful.
about. Yeah.
Love him. So good.
So we were watching him one night, and I might have been him. It might have been a meme. I mean, who knows? Well, they said that there was a bunch of other Earths out there with sustain. Yeah, so I would think that why not? Why wouldn't
Yeah,
there be?
I think the odds are pretty
there's
good.
thousands of other Earths now, they're saying, or Earth-like planets, and one of them is close enough that we could get there with current technology in 40 years. So it's not that far anymore.
Wow, that is the ultimate deciding what your kid's going to do. You know, like when people decide you're going to be a tennis player or something like that.
Yeah.
You'd have to stick that kid in there.
Now.
Right,
40
years
now.
now.
Can't show up at like 70, dies of old age halfway there.
This is a dumb
I thought
question.
you checked his genetics. Kid was eating the space burgers the whole way there. He was depressed.
Space burgers.
Space burgers. What second it's in space? Space.
I want to eat a space burger.
Right.
You never
Can't wait
watched
for
the
a space
Jetsons?
Fuck Shake Shack.
Yeah,
Space burger
I
is
want
the
a
next thing.
space
I want a
burger.
space burger. That sounds delicious.
Do you remember like 2 years ago there was a thing where they were going to ship people off to another planet? And they had like people, like 1 million people signed up. Was it Mars?
They were going to do the Mars program,
yeah.
and all these people. They are going to do that still as a reality show. They're planning.
Really?
People are signing up. It's it's like Switzerland or Sweden. I
That
forget
is
who's
so
doing
transparent what they're doing. They're dealing with the population problem, and they're
Send
gonna
them all to-
something's gonna go wrong, and it's the easiest way ever to kill 1 million people. They're gonna be so far away. There's gonna be no evidence. You can't investigate it, right?
Yeah.
No
Yeah, they
law
said
and order shit.
They're
Yeah.
going to run out of food pretty quick, but
Well, I mean, they're going to try and they just finished that program where they had a bunch of astronauts in a seclusion thing for a year, I think it was, to see what life on Mars would be like. But that's the plan in the next 2 decades, I guess, is to put people on Mars. Yeah.
We won't see it.
No, well, what? You're healthy. You're going to
Yeah, but 2 decades. I mean, it's probably not even going to be 2 decades. It would probably
It'd be
more
like 30.
than that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why the hell
The
would you?
shit we're going to miss, Bill Burr. The
What?
the
No.
technology
What are
is
you
starting to
talking-
really
kidding me?
take off.
No, dude, we were born too late.
What do you mean?
Because we're going to see, like, the end of our lives is going to be like the end of
Earth?
a Will Smith movie. So what you wanted to do, like when Mike,
It's very
no,
sad,
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
And they're not talking about another presidential election. They're not talking about the population problem. They're not talking about. I mean, the number one fucking problem out there is there's too many goddamn people. That's what it is. That whole swirl of trash out there in the Pacific Ocean. Yeah.
Trash Island.
So if they're not going to talk about it, they're just content. I think they're just going to keep going to higher ground and aquifers.
Yeah.
And then just let us fight it out like the
How many
Hunger Games.
How many years
Thunderdome.
do you think we got? Earth.
I would think around 2050.
That's 2050.
Around 2050.
That's pretty good, though.
According to the stuff that I've looked on, I love because that's it. Like I'm a scientist. This is just shit. That's all you're giving us, Dr. Burr?
that seems low.
2050 feels about
Come
right.
to the post next week. Bill Burr says.
Dr. Burr.
Dr. Burr.
2050 feels about right, though.
No.
That feels about right.
2050.
Agree to disagree.
That feels about right.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I think we're still here in 2050. It's going to be pretty fucked up. Our
Well,
existence.
It'll be
we're up
different.
to 7.5.
Extremely different.
7.5 billion.
Right.
We got a lot of people.
And then if everybody there roughly has 2, you include gay people, shut-ins, people who have that odor they can't get rid of. They don't have kids, right?
Yeah.
Then, I don't know, you get up to maybe, 13 billion?
Jeez, by 2050?
Yeah, like the
a lot of
stadiums,
people.
these 100,000-seat stadiums are going to be way too fucking small.
There's going to be
like a shoebox.
There's going to be a time where you're going to look at that like, oh, that was a small stadium.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, it was great. It was like a little content.
You were talking football in the hallway earlier, were you not?
Well, we were talking about getting out of Gillette Stadium.
See, there you go. Okay.
How everyone makes a run for the door. They try and gauge when the end of the game is so you don't sit in the line to get
they
out.
did it again with the one. They didn't learn any. Remember Great Woods when they first came out with Great Woods, and now it's called the
One Road.
The
One
Tweeter
Road in
Center.
and out.
One road in and out.
I know. I remember my time in.
And you got to go to the bathroom before you try to get in your car because so many people run out and just go on the side because you'll sit there for an hour and a half.
I'm all about leaving early.
Yeah.
I get beat up for that on this radio show.
No, you can't leave early.
I'm all about leaving early.
What if it's close? What if it's going to overtime?
I'm all about
it. Fucking Dodger fan, pile of shit.
I'm all about it.
Pile of shit, Dodger fan.
Run for the door.
Saw you two at Giant Stadium. I was warned. Get the fuck out of there early. 2 hours to get out of the parking lot.
I don't give a shit. You stay until the goddamn end of the show.
So I missed, like, where the streets have no name or something.
You missed when Jesus and Jimi Hendrix came out and they did a medley together.
I saw enough.
No, that's what you fire up the grill again.
Yeah. They do always put the best.
That's what we used to do in Buffalo.
You fire up the grill again, you let everybody go, and then you leave like a gentleman.
Exactly.
I went to more football games in Buffalo than anywhere else that I lived, and that's exactly what we did. The tailgating would resume after the game, and we would hang out for another 2 hours.
The one Bills game,
and then we would leave all nice. It was like open highway.
He's right.
He's right about it.
Gentlemen.
But that was also for the young too. Fuck.
Oh, so now you're just old.
I was in my 20s. Yeah, of course you could party 10 hours a day.
I'm not saying to keep boozing. I mean, just go out, fire the grill.
Exactly.
Throw the football around a little bit. Have a cigar like a gentleman.
Like a gentleman. Take out a little brandy, put on your fucking smoking jacket.
Fair enough.
We're all going to die in 2050 anyways. You only have till 2050, so
I'm thinking 2050 is about right, unless we really figure some shit out.
2050, I'll be 82.
You got the number. You said 12 or 13 according to the stat.
Oh, but I also said there'd be 13 billion.
Yeah.
What's great about this country is I don't think the population is going up from what other people who told me who do not work for the census.
Right.
People of the government.
Our country's not going up.
That's what I heard.
Well, it's harder to have a lot of kids in this country.
But people keep coming here.
Well, that's
from other places.
Oh, we're going to take care of that. Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
How hilarious is that, dude? One time I drove from L.A. I drove from L.A. to El Paso, dude. That is a 2-hour drive going 80 miles 2-day drive.
Yeah.
Doing 75, 80, just the whole way.
Yeah.
It's just, I just can't get that out of my head that there's going to be a wall. Like how long that would take to build.
Of course.
How long you first of all, people would bid on it. Like how long that Freedom Tower.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted that thing to get up. Some people wanted two, some people wanted how long that thing took to get off the fucking ground.
Mm-hmm. Took forever.
Yeah.
With red tape and all the bullshit.
That wall will be up in 2050.
2050. Just in time for the end of the world.
And by then, Mexico's economy will be better, and we're going to want to go over the wall. Then they'll make us pay for it.
That'd be lovely. That would be too good to be true.
That's the old reversal.
That's right.
How would that be too good to be true, man? I don't want to pay for it.
No, well, I'm just saying in an ironic sense that we are fucking with them forever, and now if we want fajitas and guacamole, we've got to fucking sneak our way in. I think that is absolutely wonderful.
We can't cultivate that.
No, you can't. That's my favorite part of America is Mexican food. It's one of my favorite parts of America.
I don't. You know what's fucked up is that their Coke actually has real sugar and ours doesn't. So you got to get the Mexican Coke. And clearly, we came up with it. We outsourced it.
Yes.
What happened to our sugar and our Coke? What
Mexican soda has
corn
syrup.
Corn syrup.
Oh, right.
Do you remember in the late 70s when like that Sun-Kissed Orange came out?
I used to love Sun-Kissed.
It tasted amazing, and then all of a sudden it just sucked.
Right.
That's what happened.
It gave you cotton mouth, remember? All of a sudden when the soda started giving, your mouth wasn't right after you drank that shit.
Yeah, so Fanta, the Mexican one the orange one still has the real sugar. So I drink that when I smoke a cigar. A little sugar, a little smoke.
Perfect.
That's nice. That's an odd image, but cool.
Yeah.
What flavor? Orange Fanta.
That was very subtle. That's an odd image. You're kind of a moron.
No, it's just I'm trying to visualize you with a big.
I love the symbol
and the can.
And this is the thing.
It's a can of Fanta.
No, it's
like
the
Romeo
glass
Juliet.
bottle. It's the glass bottle. This what's funny is everybody comes over my house and they're like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? and then the second they see the bottle, it's that child sense memory. They're like, dude, I want one of those. Give me one of those. They were all sitting out there like we should be playing marbles or something.
I love the symbol of your success. Obviously, Bill is just fucking huge. Is a cigar and an orange soda. That's awesome.
That's what I said. That's a wonderful image. I said odd, but I meant that's a wonderful image.
Burr thinks of his success. It's a cigar and it's a Fanta.
Dude, I'm telling you right now. I did this gig in Calgary, and this guy who owned a cigar bar. He's the one who hooked me up with the whole little smoke, and then he was drinking this liquor was really sweet. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is with this? He goes, I go, why don't you drink a scotch? He goes, we already got the smoke. He goes, smoking is smoke. And all I kept thinking of was, remember that movie Big Night?
Tony Shalhoub.
Where the lady ordered spaghetti and then a side of mashed potatoes, and the chef wouldn't do it. He's like, it's a starch and a starch. I'm not fucking doing it.
Right.
So that was it. Sorry, I'm getting away from the Area 51.
Oh, no, Ben's
okay.
I think Ben sold a lot of books today.
I would definitely read that.
It's a wild
Especially
story.
since there's a free one for you later.
Plus, you know what I like too? It's not that long.
No, none of my books are made to read on the flight to LA.
Is that right?
It's like I don't write a lot.
And Ben, it's on Audible, which I'm a huge fan of.
I did the voice too.
I'm a huge fan of Audible.
So I did the audiobooks. So
and
it has a lot of pictures.
You mean audio?
It's got like
audiobooks.
A lot
said
of cattle
Audible.
mutilation.
Audible.com is the app.
I was picturing Peyton Manning stomping.
Cattle mutilation.
Omaha. It's like I don't want to read this, and then you call it Audible, and somebody else comes in.
It just tells you about it later.
I also like that there's pictures. For someone like me, it's really difficult for me to read. The pictures are like a nice break.
You know what I hate about you authors though? You have a whole bunch of pictures in your book. Let's say like 10 pages in a row of pictures, and you go, oh, 230. That means after the pictures, I'm going to be on 240. Oh. And then you turn and you're on 231. You don't count the pictures as a page.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but if he does that, then real bookworms feel like they got ripped off.
Yeah, you want more pages.
No, some of the authors understand that, you want to break in your reading and,
I like
and you can
really
pop
short
out
chapters. I'm trying to get shorter. My goal is 1-page chapters.
Dustin Hoffman.
I'm going to get there eventually.
No.
Richard Dreyfuss.
Been
thinking it the whole time.
Dead on, dude. Dead on. The whole time I'm going, this guy's famous.
I've been getting that a lot.
I was too scared to say it.
Yeah. Certainly. I got you. Right. Yeah.
Mr. Holland's Opus.
With the glasses. Mr. Holland's Opus. It's over.
Not Jaws, Mr. Holland's Opus.
Matt Hooper.
Jaws.
No, on a cold...
Older Richard Dreyfuss. We're going real old.
Their hair is a little
older.
Yeah. No, I agree.
A little past Jaws, I would
like it. It's
all you need to do is put on the knit cap.
And then you got Jaws. No boating accident.
Then it's Jaws.
A beard, I think.
A beard. He does have a beard.
Give me Richard Dreyfuss's Wikipedia.
I've been getting a lot of Richard Dreyfuss.
I'm going to go 2 movies after Jaws. That's
like
you.
a doll's eye.
That's you. You're like...
What about Bob?
What about Bob? You got the Baby Steps book.
Wasn't that?
Down and Out Beverly Hills.
Down and Out Beverly Hills.
Yeah. Wow, that's all right.
That's the one that brought him
10 years later, 11 years later.
Yeah,
you're about Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Was that Marissa Tomei naked?
That's the Richard Dreyfuss.
Marissa Tomei was naked in that?
In Down and Out?
I think so.
No, she was naked in The Wrestler.
Wait a minute. What's the blonde in that?
Looking good in The Wrestler, too. Looking good.
Bette Midler. No, I don't think you mean Bette Midler.
I don't know.
I'm thinking of a different movie. I'm thinking of Slums of Beverly Hills.
Yeah, Marissa Tomei's one of those hot forever.
Oh, yeah.
Slums is Alan Arkin and Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah,
that's one of her debuts. Right?
Yes.
Oh, so you might be thinking of that.
Sure,
that's right. That's Slums of Beverly Hills. Great movie.
He
Wonderful movie.
did Bringing Down the House, Bill.
I was one of those finished from day one. I was calling back to something I said a minute ago. I said, she's one of those hot forevers. And I was like, I got to explain a joke here. That's never good.
No.
No, it isn't.
Ben, thank you. I'm going to read this book.
Thank you. I hope you do. And it should be fun. And I hope I see you in Boston at some point.
I haven't been in Boston in a couple of years.
No.
I used to get up there once a year. I love it up there still.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still living up there?
I live there in the middle of the city, and kids go to school and little
Dude,
kids now.
You wouldn't believe like the neighborhoods that have blown up. Like Somerville now is like
Somerville?
It's like
it's beautiful. Crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Used to be
Look at the
Somerville,
waterfront.
right?
You see the waterfront area that used to be nothing. Now it's massive and everything's exploding.
They
in that
stuck
city.
all the traffic
Yeah,
underneath.
It looks like Dubai. There's so many cranes.
Did they open up the Big Dig finally?
The Big Dig. Well, I don't know if they opened all of it up.
Oh, they're still working on the Big Dig?
Well, I don't know. I think they kind of just stopped. I think they got it.
They just ran out of
money.
money.
Well, the thing was they didn't add any lanes.
Right.
They just stuck it underground. So then the federal government was like, so this was just a big aesthetic
Right.
Say that right? Project.
Right.
So then they got mad and it's like, well, we already built it, so.
You know, the first job I ever had, right out of college, I worked for Channel 7 in Boston, and I had to do a documentary on the Big Dig, and it was called The Big Dig. Dig it? That was the first thing. That was my first writing job, was to write The Big Dig. Dig it? And it was the worst thing. I had to interview bridge engineers and tunnel makers and the guy who does the lighting in the tunnel.
You get called a faggot a lot?
You know what? As I remember, I did. I did. It was that kind of scene, and it was
dig it,
it was
faggot.
a tough story.
Did you get to go underground when there was?
I got to
that would be cool.
Dig it. But no, these guys, these bridge engineers, I mean, they really believe in what they do. they
better.
And then, I mean, they have to be good at it, but it was tough. It was a tough writing job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do remember it. Yeah.
All right, with that, and then fast forward, you're on your 18th book. New York Times bestseller.
Thank you.
2 times.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me.
Hey, dude, at that point, you got to feel like I'm never stopping. Because, like, the big thing is writer's block. If you get up to 18, you're just like,
gotta be done.
Yeah, like, I'm supposed to do this.
I mean, I like doing it. It's been a fun journey. You had me on 10, 12 years ago.
We've talked about almost every one of your books in the last. He's bringing down the house with Kevin Spacey, the counting
MIT
cards,
kids,
the MIT.
Oh, I read that book. That was a great.
That was him.
That was a great book.
And then also,
and I plowed through that, and I never do. I plowed through that book in about a day and a half.
His books are
Do you
great.
gamble? Yeah.
No, because I just, I realize I'm not smart enough to count cards.
That's what
and
it
then
was,
I see what happens to you when you can't count cards.
Right.
Well, Vegas
walking around in your slippers.
Vegas wants you counting. Vegas wants you counting cards because they know most people can't actually do it right, and they get cocky like, I'm a card counter.
You know, if you're counting cards in a casino, Vegas will put a card counter in the security booth who watches you, counts along with you. And if you're not good at it, they'll give you extra drinks. They want you to stay.
Right. I didn't know that. That's the update on that.
They hire card counters to work in security now to see if you're a good card counter or a bad card counter.
What kind of a fucking sellout does that, man? I saw.
I don't think it's a sellout. I think they brought him to a back room and said, "This is what you're doing for us. We'll pay you well,
fair enough.
or you're fucked."
Right. Well, that happened in
I would assume there's some strong arming going on
in the 90s. It definitely
and then
happened.
he did, what was the name of the
Social
book?
Network. Excellent of Billionaires, about the Facebook story.
Okay, I saw that movie.
That's him.
Boston.
That was you?
Story.
Yes.
That was me. I wrote the book, yeah.
Got an idea for the next
Stephen
thing?
King must
Got a little
be
teaser?
hearing footsteps with this
my
guy,
next thing is Boston-based too. My new book is called Woolly. Comes out next year, and it's about the de-extinction of the woolly mammoth. A scientist at Harvard and his team are bringing the woolly mammoth back, and they're going to populate the Siberian tundra, which is a place called Pleistocene Park, which they've built, and they're going to have 80,000 woolly mammoths running around. And this is real. They're on the verge.
Yeah,
they've already got a
stupid.
mouse with woolly mammoth hair, and they can make little woolly mammoth tusks. And it's all about genetics and how it's, like your 2050 thing.
That's great. We've already genetically altered the food. Now let's
we're
fuck with the livestock.
we're gonna de-extinct
And
creatures.
how close to the original will it be?
Well, it's gonna elephant will give birth to
That's
a woolly
right.
mammoth.
Yeah, I heard they're using
So
the
it will be
elephant.
an elephant with woolly mammoth hair. The size will be bigger. The tusks will be different. The blood will be different. So it'll live in cold temperatures. But it will look like a woolly mammoth.
What's the benefit?
Will it be able to reproduce? Are you going to get into the
It will be able to
mule?
reproduce.
It will be. It
Yes.
won't be sterile.
Yes. The big question is, will the elephant parents take care of the woolly mammoth baby? That's one of the things they're working on.
I just want to hear Jeff Goldblum right now talking
Right,
about
I'll
all this.
say, science finds a way, and we're all in trouble.
Pour the drip of water on your hand.
I just don't get that.
Yeah. That's good.
You don't even have to say anything else.
No, you can already see the movie. It's in a woolly mammoth.
So what's going to take us out? Woolly mammoths or robots?
Woolly mammoths are good. They're going to help us.
What do you think takes us out?
How are the woolly mammoths going to help us?
Well, I'll tell you. You want me to really get into that? So this is the theory. So there's this crazy Russian guy who has this thing called Pleistocene Park in Siberia. And what he's done is he's got this huge tract of land. He's brought all these cold weather giant animals like bison and reindeer and horses. And he's got these World War II era tanks. And he's been pummeling the tundra. And what he's discovered is that, if global warming, the whole world is warming, the tundra is this massive time bomb. It's full of methane and carbon. When that melts, it's like all the forests on Earth burning 3 times. And it's about to melt. Turns out
the
that
permafrost.
if you pound on it like the woolly mammoth used to do before we hunted them out of existence, it lowers the permafrost 15 degrees. So you can extend the permafrost by 150 years by putting a herd of something on it.
We're counting on the woolly mammoth
theory is they're going to make woolly mammoths to do it.
Global warming.
And the other reason is because we hunted them out of existence. So if we bring them back, there's this whole, we're fixing the things that we screwed up. That's the idea, anyways.
As we take out the rainforest.
Well, you don't need that.
On the other side.
Right, potato.
Right, exactly.
But that's the book that comes out next year, Woolly.
Very, very cool,
Good
man.
name.
And we're doing
I feel
a
like
movie with that as well.
Your 18th book, your ideas are getting a little flimsier. Started with the social network, and then it just keeps getting
I went from
UFOs
Facebook to UFOs to woolly mammoths.
You're killing in the beginning. Out of the gate.
Tribe of Bigfoots living on a foreign planet. I like it. I went from Vegas to Facebook to UFOs to woolies.
Yeah.
I think it's going upward. You think it's going down?
We think you're losing your mind.
I think you need to.
I don't know. I like it.
Surely.
I like the direction you're going.
Yeah,
I like those movies better.
Right. I'm a big fan of Ben Mezrich's books, for real. The woolly mammoth one sounds awesome, and this one I definitely will. I'm not going to read. I'm going to listen to this one.
Yeah, that's good. This guy.
This will be a quick
I think
listen.
this was a fun one.
And I already looked it up. Only a little over 6 hours. Nice. And then I put the Audible app on 1.25, and then it knocks down that 6 and
you
change
can speed it up.
Yes, but you got to figure out. Some people you could speed up and it doesn't affect.
Well, it's my voice.
Much.
I don't know. I haven't heard it.
Are you reading slow or fast?
I talk pretty fast.
Then I'm fucked. I'm going to have to keep it at 100.
But I don't know. I tried to stay under control.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's a flight to L.A., though. About 6 hours.
Amy Schumer, I was able to get up to 125%.
She talks
That
slow.
knocked off a good hour of the Audible read.
Did she read the whole thing? You
Yeah,
got to
she did
read
it.
your own book back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but someone like you, I would love to read one of your books.
No, you wouldn't.
Why?
I can't read out loud.
Oh.
That would be funny, though.
I stumble over shit.
And then you could rant. You could go off subject.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah.
I'd love
Corolla
that.
did
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
That would be cool.
Amy was in here recently, and I told her she was a very good reader. I don't know if that's a great compliment, but I appreciated a good reader.
Yeah, but you got to put the fast speed because she talks about getting molested.
You want to get through that fast.
Yeah, and that goes slower.
Yeah.
Let's go fast through that part.
But, all right. We got to take a break.
Thank you.
Ben Mezrich, always a pleasure. The Secret Truth Behind America's UFO Highway. We're talking about the 37th Parallel is the name of the book.
Thank you very much, guys. Great seeing you.
Anything else? Your Twitter? You're good?
I'm Ben Mezrich on all those things. But, yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy. I love coming, so thank you so much for having me.
All right. I would have you stick around, but we need your mic. Matt Pinfield.
It's all yours.
So get the fuck out of here, right?
That sounds good.
Hey, very nice meeting you. Thank you for all your great books.
Mark Norman, where are you going to be, buddy?
Stand Up Live in Phoenix this weekend, then Hilarities, Punchline
Cleveland?
San Francisco. Yeah.
Love Nick Costas, man.
Never been. I'm pretty pumped.
Best.
Good
He's the
gig.
best.
He's right. Yeah, it's a lovely gig.
Great.
Lovely gig.
And Vic, what do you got?
I got 2 gigs with Kathleen Madigan, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, and then Omaha Funny Bone coming up.
Very nice.
And then Bill's playing my hometown tonight.
That's a sweet gig, Bill Burr. You've been out there. It's really cool.
How long a ride is that if I leave at like 4:30?
Oh, shit.
You're joking, obviously.
Rush hour?
You're not
that's
joking?
the worst time at all.
I mean, the show's at 7. I can get there by 7, right?
So you take the train?
Dude, Long Island Expressway is
brutal.
My brother
should I take the train?
Yeah. For real. You put your hat down low and then...
Nobody gives a shit about me. Put my hat down low, I'll get arrested.
Put on a fake mustache, sunglasses, hoodie.
Yeah. My brother has a restaurant close by.
I was going to say go early and go around the corner and eat
My
dinner.
brother's restauant's really good.
Yeah.
She just loves the pantsuits. Yeah. I love it. She dresses like Rhoda.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Hillary Clinton.
4:30 might be rough. For real.
For realsy real?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a great... Have you ever played Paramount? Obviously not
No.
if you're asking about traffic. It's a great venue. My God. I think you're going to have a good time out there. 2 shows, 7 and 10 o'clock tonight, right?
Yeah. 7 to 10. No, I'm already doing the math on how the fuck I'm going to get out there because I have other stuff I have to do.
The train is an hour.
Oh, that's not bad. Is the stop close to the theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, right around the corner.
It's 10 minutes.
Then how do I get back, though?
Train. Or maybe Uber.
Uber back, car back. Yeah, town car.
Ooh, town car.
I got a few family members. Maybe I can get one of them to
Call
drive you
somebody.
back.
Get the cook.
I got a bunch of family out there.
Get an intern here.
I'm going to figure that out. Oh, shit, look at that. Yeah, that's a long way.
Yeah, you can't be gambling.
Jesus,
you can't be
that's
gambling with that on it.
like in the Hamptons.
If that goes wrong, it's easily 7:30, 7:45. If it goes wrong.
Well, you got an
You know,
opener.
the opener stretches a little.
Who's opening?
Vinnie Mark.
He doesn't have that much time.
No traffic. No traffic. That's about right. It's an hour and 15.
Okay.
No, I mean, everything has to be perfect.
Train it is.
He'll have to do the straitjacket twice if you.
The train is barely an hour.
4 hour by bike.
4 hour by bike.
11 hours walking.
Should have brought your helicopter to town.
That's 36 miles.
All right, cool. All right, now I know what's up.
All right, listen, we're gonna. You're sticking around for a while.
Yeah.
Very cool. We got Bill Burr and Mark Norman, Vic Henley, and Matt Pinfield wrote a book. He's coming in to say hi too. So stay where you are. All right, we got a busy show. Got Bill Burr in studio and Vic Henley and Mark Norman.
Hey, hey.
And Matt Pinfield is outside the studio. Yeah, we got to get Matt right in.
If there's anybody that knows the most about music on this planet Earth, it is this man walking in here
We
right
should
now.
quiz him.
Oh, shit.
You can't stump him.
Yeah, I know this guy.
Yeah, you can't stump him.
We got to try to stump him. We
He's
got to
a
play
legend.
music to see if he can name it. He knows every song ever.
So how are you guys?
I don't think we could stump him.
You can't.
You think we could stump you with a song?
You could.
Vic is good.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not this good.
Vic
This
Henley,
is Jesus
he's
good.
And he's
You know what I
modest.
mean? You know,
And he's modest. He's like, you could.
Vic,
You could.
write down.
You know, I mean,
No,
I'm
I
so
couldn't.
psyched to be hanging with
Yeah.
all you guys, man. Mark, I mean,
Wait, I like Mark's idea. Write down 5 songs. Just
Right.
go
Me?
5. I know.
Okay,
it's-
all right.
All over the road,
It'll take
too.
me a minute. Okay, it'll take me a minute.
All right,
give me
but
a
think
couple
it
seconds.
over.
I'll think it
We'll
over.
talk to him about his book for a little bit, and then
We're not gonna
we'll try to
stump
stump him. But
Come on, it's 9:15 in the morning. Let the guy sit down.
we're just trying to fuck Matt.
Everywhere he goes, you know this happens to him. Everywhere he goes.
Oh, exactly.
Who was the first bass player in Cinderella?
Yeah, you go through that, but that's cool.
I'll break out some prog rock. You're fucked.
Dude, which prog?
I don't know much of it. I know King.
He's already got you.
I'll go King Crimson, Procol Harum.
Yeah,
I think Rush is in that group.
Rush,
believe it or not.
yes, ELP.
Queensryche, ELP.
That's what we did on F is for Family. We had one of the characters was into prog rock because disco had been done to death. Everyone was into Zeppelin. So Kevin, the character, we're like, we got to have him into all this prog rock shit and unicorns and all this stuff.
So funny, man. That's great.
Yeah.
So what bands was he into? Was it like it was?
Yeah,
was he going super deep?
But we can't use actual names. So it's just the band he gets into is just sort of an amalgam of all of that type of crazy.
Wait, if you use a band's name, you got to pay for that nowadays, or
dude, you can't believe some. I tell you, and a lot of these. Not to get sidetracked, but so many of these management teams or whatever that own the music or make these decisions, they have so many songs that are so priced way out. Like they'll want $50,000 to just play a little piece of some obscure goddamn song. It's just like nobody's gonna pay that because they'll go for the more known song.
Of course,
I was like, if I had that song, I'd say $5,000 a whack. And I get it in 10 shows in 2 seconds.
What song did you really want? And then they told you the price tag. You're like, oh, fuck.
Oh, dude, there's been so many.
Name a few of them, Bill. That'd be great.
Please.
I want to hear.
No, you know why? Because we've been trying to go more like obscure.
Yeah.
Like we don't want to do like Born to Be Wild and all these ones that have been done. You know what? You guys are going to get me here, but all
right.
I'm not. This is why I don't do what you do. I can't remember, but I'm always like, that's a great song.
The opening of the show is great. The beginning, come and get your. I haven't heard that song in years.
Hamilton
Yes, I love that song.
Redbone. There you go.
1974 epic record.
All right.
Back, baby.
That's
the record
shit.
company.
Yeah, that's the best. The
Or the
high
label,
school
I should
guys
say,
who can say the label.
Yeah, because you still remember staring at it on your turntable going around.
Did they do the Witch Queen of New Orleans?
Yeah, was their other hit. Yeah.
You're not going to stump them.
You
don't
put
even
a
you don't even
spell
have to come up
I
with
love
songs.
that. I love that. The Witch Queen of New Orleans.
Yeah, that's great.
Marie Laveau.
They were an all Indian, American Indian band.
Yeah, Native American.
Native American.
That was the hook.
Matt, I got to tell you, all these things that I've done, my insane, improbable rock life, read it in 3 days. Love this fucking book.
Oh, that means the world to me. When you tweeted about it, like the first 70 pages,
I was hooked.
I mean, yeah, it really did my heart good. I have to tell you, I was just so excited.
If you love music, you got to get this book. And then you got the radio angle in there, so of course I'm going to love that part of it.
Yeah,
and then the MTV experience, and then you're working for a record label. That probably was my favorite part of the book. You're giving the ins and outs of the record labels. Holy fuck! This guy got fucked over. He had the Killers. He discovered the Killers.
Really?
Yeah,
pretty much.
It was one of those things where actually, and that's, I mean, the story.
You see how you're sitting there fidgeting as you're talking. They're like, we can fuck this guy.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Listen, guy's smart.
He's sitting there, hey, he's all about the music. He's got the passion. It's like, this guy's got no shark in his blood.
No, here's the funny thing. I mean, it was one of those deals where, there's so many people involved in the signing of an artist. At a major record label like that, it's about everybody coming together. And, there have been times you'll lose bands because another label will outbid you $20,000 for a band. And there goes your kid's college fund. You know what I mean? Because, but the Killers thing was amazing for me. At least, like I said,
it wasn't amazing. You wanted to pretty much jump out a window. You knew these guys personally. You were in their garage in Vegas.
Wow. Yeah, watching them play Mr. Brightside in their garage.
Before anyone else knew
the drummers, Ronnie Vannucci's garage. They were still doing those songs. Isn't he great?
I got a soul, but I'm not a soldier.
Yeah, which, and that comes from, and it's in the book, I had been coming from mentoring soldiers in Colorado City, Colorado. U.S. Army calls and says there's musicians coming back from soldiers from Iraq. So would you come here and be part of this mentoring thing? And I said, of course I would. So they flew me there, and I flew right from there to Vegas to see the Killers play in their garage, and then hung out with them that night. And, where the song came from was, it's in the book, but, Brenda Flowers he had an old AMC Central. It didn't even have a CD player yet. I mean, it's, the band, now, of course, they made some serious money and they become a huge stadium band.
So how did they wrestle them away from you?
It was just I'll tell you what it was. My bosses
Suge Knight came
waited. My bosses waited for me to bring them in on the Friday, and Leor Cohen, who was one of the guys with Rick Rubin who started Def Jam, he and Rob Stevenson, the other guy there, they were like, they even said to me, they go, we feel you breathing down our backs. So they put the band in a limo, brought them up to the Upper East Side, and had the contract ready to go, and just said, what does it take to get you guys to sign it? So then I got the phone call.
You could blame Beyonce. Wasn't there a Beyonce?
There was a Beyonce and John Mayer benefit dinner.
I'm just trying to show you that I read the fucking book. Sometimes I have to lie and go, your book was amazing. I read the whole thing. No, I actually read this one.
I love that you did, Opie, and I'm glad you really enjoyed it too.
Did you see that did you know they were in the limo?
No, I didn't know. You know what? I was expecting them to come to Sony to Columbia the next day, and then I got the phone call from them going, hey, Matt, we're really sorry. So there goes Hot Fuzz. But he wrote the song the night that, he drove me back. We were singing the Beatles in his car and then dropped me off at the Las Vegas Hilton. We started talking about my midlife crisis, and he went home and wrote this song. So it was like that kind of,
He was the inspiration for that song.
I was just picturing you in your hotel room, like knowing you're going to Sony the next day. That whole thing, he's just singing, shaving. And then fucking, literally, they're up there just fucking you over. And you get that phone call, man. That'd be a great scene in a movie.
Oh, man.
Like just cutting back and forth between the two of them.
Have you ever figured out how much money that cost you not getting the Killers in your own head?
That record sold like 10 million copies worldwide. You know what I mean? So if you think about, even if you get a point on the record, like I said, my kid's college fund, and my youngest daughter's.
Do they call you every 6 months? Once again, we're really sorry.
Apologize. My bad,
they're up to like 30 million.
They give you some who gives a fuck gift every Christmas. Bottle of fucking
Are you in the
champagne.
liner notes at least?
No. I mean,
but you kept in touch with the guys over the years.
Yeah, I've been friends with them ever since. I did like the radio specials for Sam's Town.
Yeah.
And I actually handled it in the way you would handle it. I called up Rob Stevenson and said, congratulations, and Leor. What else? At that point, what was I going to do? And, people like my label were like, you're talking to those guys fuck them. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, I can't, because I wear different hats.
That probably made it worse for them. That you were nice about it.
Yeah, maybe, you know.
Jesus.
But it was so, you know.
At least get the credit. Like, I saw him. I had the eye.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Is that anything?
No, don't mean shit.
Now, have you ever run into Rick Rubin or any of those guys? Who were the guys that did, like, you know, what's it going to take when you were sitting there?
Oh, Leo Cohen. Oh, yeah. You know, I stayed friendly with him. I mean, in fact, Leo even tried to hire me at Atlantic after he left and decided was running like the whole Warner Music Group. He tried to hire me.
But the next time you guys run into each other, you haven't talked. Like, how does that conversation going down?
We're always, you know, listen, it's one of those things that you know, these business friendships with, you know, people that work in the music business, it doesn't make any sense to have any kind of animosity, and I didn't. You know, it's just like it is what it is. You win some, you lose some in that business. So
that was a biggie.
Yeah, I know, it's true.
Is his name really Leo Cohen?
Leor Cohen.
Oh, yeah. Leor.
Yeah.
Leor.
But he was
going to say that.
He always liked me, trying to hire me, you know, after I was out of Columbia, so you got to give him that.
Leor.
You know?
That's interesting. I've never seen that name. L-Y-O-R.
Well, he and Rick Rubin started, you know, Def Jam, signed Beasties, LL Cool J.
Wow.
Very, very, you know, like, you know, and things like that. So,
wow.
They're
smart guys.
The stories in this book are great. You got to tell the David Bowie story here today.
Ooh.
The one where he invites you over to his apartment.
Yeah.
It blew my fucking mind.
Yeah, that was amazing for me because he was one of my all-time heroes as a kid. I loved Ziggy Stardust and Diamond Dogs and, you know, Hunky Dory and all those
Diamond
records.
Dogs, great album.
Isn't that a great record, man?
Yep.
It's unsung great. You know
And I'm a classic, you know, after David passed, I heard Marilyn Manson talk about somebody recommended that to him, and I was like, all right, well, if he liked it, I'm going to put it on. I was like, fuck,
and it was great, right?
album.
It's really dark. It's a dark record. You know, he was going through this period with Diamond Dogs that, you know, as Tony Visconti, as producer of the years, likes to say, it was a pretty dark period for David. But I love that record, and I was about 11 or 12. It was my birthday when I got that album. So for me, and then I saw him on Broadway in The Elephant Man, and, you know, I always followed him. And back in those days, when you wanted to grab a song from somebody, you were looking for something, you're like meeting somebody in like Jersey City who has a 45 from
You described it like going to see a drug dealer or something.
Yeah, it was really like that.
In the book, how you described how we used to have to go and get music, it brought me back to a time where you would find that obscure record store that had imports, and and the word would just get out.
Yeah, like Golden Disc here in New York City, you know, or Bleecker Bob's.
Bleecker Bob's, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Man,
Vic,
I'm telling you, know, it's the whole idea of that was that, you know, you would go to find that single at B-side. You were so in love
I had a
with
friend that would mail away for all the European bands. Really, they weren't even in the States yet, and I couldn't wait to go over his house and see all the shit that he was collecting.
Yeah,
I knew a guy find anywhere else.
I knew a guy who had the Zeppelin 45 or Hey, what can I do?
Yeah, that was what I got.
And it was like, holy shit. My brother, one time he was in Boston, somehow went to a record store and he found that they out of print Band of Gypsies, Jimi Hendrix.
Outstanding.
Yeah, and he had that fucking thing, and the guy literally at the shop was like, someone just dropped that off. My brother came in 5 minutes later, just happened to see it.
And that's how you had to get
it. And I was so jealous. I used to like sneak into his room and listen to it and shit, you know. It was just,
and you said it right, too. You would discover this stuff, and you never knew where it would happen. Your friend's house or some new record store that popped up or whatever.
It was amazing. I remember I told Robert Plant that how, you know, I found Hey, what can I do? Because I couldn't find a single of Immigrant Song with it on the back. But there was this album that was a collection that came out in like England or Germany called Atlantic Machine Rolls On It. It was like Zeppelin, ELP, yes. And, you know, and Robert never missed an opportunity to start busting Jimmy's balls. And he goes, Jimmy didn't want me to put it on there. And I said we need to put it on there. But me and my friends would learn it, and we thought we were the coolest because we were singing and jamming. Hey, what can I do? Yeah, I'm a lefty.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Me too.
Oh, absolutely, man.
There you go.
Yeah, all three lefties here, guys? Two righties.
I'm ambidextrous.
Yeah.
I play hockey lefty.
You do? That's cool.
Yeah, that's a euphemism.
It's really strange.
It's great. Guys,
isn't it amazing a song like Hey, Hey, What Can I Do? They didn't think enough of it to put it
for years
to actually put it on an album,
which shocked
me.
It's
a great song.
It's one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs.
And this is the thing. Once they put it on that box set and everyone could get it wasn't special anymore. Because I remember when it came on the radio, you'd be like, fuck, and you try to run over and hit record, to get it. You'd miss, like, the first, like, beginning of it. Or you knew it was coming up, and the fucking DJ wouldn't shut up and be like, this is one from off the... They don't release this one.
Guilty as charged, sir.
The fuck up. I'm trying to record this.
Don't talk up to the post. Don't talk up to the post. Put the needle on the record.
Right. Dude, especially when you're trying to learn the chords.
Enough,
you know what I mean? It's true, but that's such...
we're going to play this whole song sometime today. Oh, my God.
It's still one of my favorite songs ever.
I think you know it if you heard it.
I got a woman on a ball all day.
Oh, my God, is this a great song?
Well, you DJs won't shut up.
Yeah. See, we're still doing it. There you go. See what to say.
DJ loves hearing his voice on the radio. So you're working at the record label at this point, and you go to dinner, I think, with David Bowie, and they sit you across from him.
The first time, it's actually while I'm at MTV. It was they sat me across from him, and it was between across from him and Iman, and I'm banging Jack and Cokes because I'm like nervous. I'm like, it's either going to go terribly right or terribly wrong at that moment in time. But we really we locked minds. It was amazing. We just started talking about him playing with Mick Ronson and a bunch of other things, and that's when he asked me...
Wait. I do want to stop you for a second.
Yeah.
So you're having a conversation with Bowie. If we had a conversation with Bowie, anyone else in this room, he probably would be like, when is this going to be over with? What was the one moment where you knew you had him, where his eyes lit up like, oh, damn, this guy is a little different than most when it comes to music and the industry?
I think I was talking about, just some of the covers that he had done, like the Jacques Brel, Scott Walker stuff, which is... it's just this thing in England. It's this guy who was in the Walker Brothers. He was an American, and he went over to England to make it. He was a big pop star, and Bowie was jealous of him because his girlfriend at the time was in love with the guy, and he and then he started listening to his records and go, wow, this is
good shit.
This is some really great stuff. So, and then once we talked, and he knew that I knew as much about the music, he'd ask me, if I would help him out with his set list for the 9 Inch Nails tour, and he let me know in advance.
Damn.
So that's how that started.
Man.
And then the funny thing that he is also in there, I know you probably laughed your ass off at, Opie, was when I'm I'm in the Hit Factory, and I'm talking to Steve Thompson of Mixed Appetite for Destruction, and I wanted him to produce a demo for me.
I know.
You know what I mean?
It's too good to be true.
Yeah. And then he goes, my cell phone rings, and it's David Bowie, and it's like, Matt, David Bowie. And I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, yeah, David. And the funniest thing in the world is, my response was ridiculous. He goes, hey, Matt, I'd really like you to come over and listen to the new record and let me know what you think and give me some advice on tracks and remixers. Jesus. And I go to him, well, Wednesday I have our label meeting, so, and I'm like, what the hell, like David Bowie? I label meeting at Sony. Hell, it's Thursday and Friday. And he was such a gentleman. He goes, well, why don't you come Thursday? He goes, I'll send it.
Holy
wow.
So do you believe it? And after I said it, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
You drop everything for David Bowie.
You know what I mean? Is that funny, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, I got to go to a label meeting. It's like all the, it's like...
way more important than going to Bowie's house.
Yeah, so, but when I went over there, it was great, and...
Wait, slow down. You're going over to Bowie's house.
Thank you, Bill.
What are you going to wear? This guy's going to be, styling his supermodel wife. You just can't come over in your sweatpants and tee. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe you go the other way. It's like, I'm not going to out-style this guy.
You show up with a Ziggy Stardust t-shirt.
You can't try too hard.
That's trying too hard. You're right.
Try too hard.
That'd be hilarious.
Can you get away with a Rolling Stones t-shirt?
Yeah. You got to wear Run DMC or something. Throw it off a little.
I would actually say no music. No music.
All black.
Yeah.
All black.
Yeah, because I always do the Johnny Cash all black thing. So, anyway, he was great. So we sat across some couches on from each other.
Fuck this. And you hear his footsteps coming to the door. You know it's David Bowie.
What's his
it was crazy.
Doorbell? Mark? Is it a song?
No, it was not.
It's Rebel.
Which, by the way, he recorded. He recorded that riff at 5 a.m. on a clear guitar. Yeah, one of the greatest. I mean, that's
that might be my favorite Bowie song.
Mine too. It's a gateway song for me. You know
amazing.
what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
I love that on Diamond Dogs. Rebel is just.
I interrupted you 10 times. So anyway, so you go over there. I'm sorry,
but the details are good.
Yeah,
details.
but sorry about that. No, Bill, no problem. I just going over there and we sat across from each other. There was actually a time in between.
I gotta stop you. Did you bring a gift?
No, I didn't bring a gift. I was bringing my brain, which is what he wanted me.
Not a bottle of. I don't know.
No flowers for Iman.
And where are we? What city?
I'm here.
New York.
I was here.
So what are we doing?
It's going to be 11 o'clock before he finally finishes his story.
I know. I went downtown. It was the second time. We'd eaten together twice for dinner before that. There was a second time also right before, and then I went in the studio, and I was sitting with him in the studio Looking Glass that, he used to do records at that Philip Glass owned, and Tony Visconti had a room there.
Wow.
And he had just found out that Interpol had found somebody that was selling his outfits from the Ziggy and Aladdin Sane tours that stole them off the stage in Portugal. So he was so excited to get them back. He's like, that's my stuff. I want it back.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him,
So he hadn't seen that stuff in how long? Almost 20
since
years?
1973.
And what year was this?
This was about 2002, 1. It was like one, it was, yeah.
Some guy was sitting on that ship for 30 years going all right, I think it's all died down. Finally unload this ship, get my dream house in Spain, and I'm never fucking going to do it.
Letting those eBay bids go up.
Yeah, exactly. And they got it back for him, which he was very, very excited about,
Had a couple of friends that he showed it to. Right. I got to show you something.
Yeah.
You can't say anything.
I never told you this.
Right. Can you imagine that? But yeah, so when I went to his place, we just, we sat across from each other.
But he walked you into the living room?
Yeah. And
what was in the living room?
I think he floated.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was obviously like there's, like a patio, like garden patio, in which he was, when we started, one of the things that was funny that happened that's in the book is Coco, his assistant, had, made him play 5 more songs for me. She goes, and David was so, he was so charming. He was such a gentleman. And, he said to me, he goes, I really appreciate that as much about me and my music and a lot of things that I forgot. I said, well, you were a gateway for me. You helped me, look further in music, and look for other things. So Coco says to him, hey, why don't you play those other 5 songs from Matt? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, David, you got to play it for me. You know what I mean? So he plays them, and it's in the book, but, he plays me Slow Burn. He wasn't going to put it on the album, and I'm not saying it was.
Are you feeling pressure? Like I got to be acting like I'm liking this? You're tapping your foot?
No, but I was real honest with him because
that would be tough to do. I would be like, oh my god, another great one.
I was very honest with David. Guys,
dancing around like Billy Squire.
Well, in the Loneliest Night video, there you go.
I was gonna say, one of the dorkiest performers ever. Yeah.
But no, I got to say, one of the most overrated moments in music where they that killed his career. The only thing killed his career, he didn't have another big hit. Dude, that guy's a fucking monster, man.
He was a Piper, man, and he was from Boston. I like his old band.
That guy is a fucking rock star. And dude, R. Kelly, what the fuck he was charged with? He came out with a hit after that. It all went away. Yeah. Dancing around like a nerd. If he had another Lonely as the Night or The Stroke after that, it would have gone away.
Billy was a great guy. I mean, I met him when I was 16. So
I think he's brutally underrated.
Yeah, I love those. I like those Piper records.
You know the
first
Stroke.
Stuff.
Lonely as the Night and the Stroke.
He had the band from Boston. You know that.
The drummer from Brockton, Bobby Chouinard, right?
Yeah, and I would go see them. I saw them play with the Babies and some bands like that back in the day.
Ah, the Babies.
You know what I mean? Yeah, back in the day, I saw. I would go see everything. I remember seeing Tom Petty. When it was like $4 to see Petty play on the first 2 albums, and I'm sure you got a kick out of one part in the book, Opie, where the guy at the what was Ticketron, now Ticketmaster, and you had to go out and buy them, and the guy stood and looked at me and my friend Greg Amici and goes, "This band of Police, you better enjoy the show, because they're going nowhere. It was like $2.
Damn.
It was $2 to see him leave.
$2 lousy dollars. And the guy's giving you shit.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I never forgot that. And that weekend, we were in high school. We went to saw the Police on a Thursday night for $2. Joe Jackson looked sharp on Friday, and Elvis Costello at the Princeton on Saturday.
Oh, that's a
in
weekend.
3 days.
Fuck
You know
yeah.
what I
Now,
mean?
did you know as you were watching these guys, or is this just the life you're living in?
Well, you know what it was?
Like when they hit later, you're like, wait a minute, these guys are familiar. Oh, yeah, I saw those guys. Or was it one of those performances you totally remember?
I remember everything about it. I mean, it's really interesting if you look at Sting in these pictures. He's like in a... He's like in like this like green jumpsuit, and he looks like a baby. You know, I mean, everybody, was so young at the time. But in that period of time, as you know, like in punk, post-punk, and rock, it felt like there was a new band coming out every day. You know, there was like...
MTV broke a lot of that shit too. The video thing helped a ton. I think that really increased. There's more and more and more and more and more because every time we turn around, here's somebody. What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, exactly. You would find, that was
what's the show you could have gone to but you didn't because you had a cold or you were busy, you went out with some chick or something like that, and you could have saw them, like U2 at the Paradise in Boston. Was there something?
I saw U2 at the Fastlane Asbury Park, and I went in the beginning too for Boy. You would see all these bands, and they would do their single twice. Like the Police did Can't Stand Losing You twice, and U2 did I Will Follow. Right? Yeah, because they
just didn't have songs yet.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? That was what it was about.
I don't want you to move on from Bowie yet, because then he's playing these songs for you, and he's pacing. Like there's David Bowie pacing.
He's pacing in front of me.
He's nervous what you're going to say about his music.
Yeah, he was.
Isn't that fucked up?
He was actually pacing and going back and forth out onto the patio with a cigarette because he chain smokes. He has he had all his life, and he comes in the 3 songs that, and I remember it very. Of course I remember it. It's where everybody says hi. Slow Burn and his cover of Neil Young's Waiting for You, which he put on the album, and then he played me 2 others, and he's like, "All right, what about this one?" And I go, B-side. I told him the truth.
Wow.
You had to tell it, Bowie, B-side soundtrack.
Wow.
And he goes like this. He actually was happy, though. Like, he had this sigh of relief, and he had his 2 fingers across his forehead. You know what I mean? With the last 2 songs.
And I think you also told him soundtrack.
Yeah, I said soundtrack. I really said soundtrack.
To David Bowie.
I did say it to him.
Because no one else would be able to be honest in that situation.
Probably why he asked him to be there. Bowie had to think that he wasn't just bringing in the yes man.
Right.
Yeah. He's bringing in a knowledgeable guy that he knew a little bit and figured he'd shoot him straight. That
was another thing, too, like when you actually would release a whole album as opposed to now when it was singles, is the track order was crucial.
Sequencing.
Like you had to take people on a ride, and it's just like, I listened to an album recently, and it was one of those albums that I bought and I wanted to like it. I didn't like it, and then I re-listened to it on a plane where I couldn't go anywhere, and I really liked it. And what I realized, it was the second track just fucked up the album because the first and the third flowed into the fourth and the fifth, but the second one was this fucking left turn that audio like in your ear.
What album? I need to know.
No, because I don't want to trash them because I like them because it didn't do well. But it sounds like you because it didn't do well and it kind of fucked the band up. But
it was the Killers.
No. It's the Killers' second album. It was just one of those things like how important that is.
Sequencing and the journey it takes you on. Like having seen Queen in 1976 Night at the Opera here in town at the Beacon.
Jesus.
Was with the first 4 albums because they were more heavier. Like, there were ballads too on there. And it was, there was vaudeville sounding songs, but it was a life-changing concert for me. But I'll tell you a funny experience. So I have a guy in my band, we're in junior high, and we get tickets for Aerosmith. Now, I'd seen them.
What album?
I'd seen them rocks, and this was Draw the Line, right? So I'm excited to go. He goes and he erases the seat numbers and puts better seat numbers on the tickets. Really smart, right? So they walk us in, they walk us up, and walk us right out. And lock the door. And I'm like, That was fantastic. That's the concert I'm telling you.
So
that was
he's
funny.
answering your question. He's
Yeah,
back
that
to
was
the
like, answer your
the one he
question, Bill.
missed.
Bill Burr, I'm telling you, that's it. It was like, because my friend was a dumbass and he erased,
So they're bringing it like this way, right this way, right this
literally,
way.
like the ushers bringing us down on the floor. I'm like, oh, wow, this is pretty amazing.
It worked.
And it worked to get us outside that door and throw it out of our ass. And I'm standing out there like a teenage kid going, what the fuck?
Did you trash your friend? Were you like, you piece of, did he buy dinner?
No, I don't know, So
that was another thing, too, dude. That was such a fucking event. Like, if you were at school and you were just like, what'd you do last night? And
it's crazy.
I saw this band or whatever. It's like, you were there? You went to the show? Because, like, now everything's on cell phone video. You don't have to leave your fucking house. Like, back then, you had to come up with a plan. You had to lie to your parents. You had to figure out who was
definitely had to lie to your
driving.
parents.
You had to do all of this shit just to go out and get there. And, you go down to the record store. When's the record coming out? You'd be calling them up, hounding them. You had to go down to those fucking Strawberries to get the tickets.
It was the anticipation you're talking about, too.
Yeah.
Like, you bought, tickets for these shows months in advance.
It was like Dazed and Confused. We're going to get Aerosmith tickets.
And it was the whole anticipation.
You keep checking to make sure you didn't lose them. Somehow they got up out of your desk drawer. And
making sure they're still there.
Still there.
You didn't think we could feel them in your pocket the whole day?
Yeah, and if you lost your tickets, you were fucked. Dude, one time I was going to go see that. Remember that Monsters of Rock?
Yeah, of course.
The one that Van Halen and Metallica was on. I got into this crew of people where I only knew one person, was the guy that I worked with. And he hung out with these biggest fucking nerds I've ever seen in my life. All I remember was one of the kids was like 20. He was already losing his hair. And he was like, and he was in the car, like putting the Rogaine like underneath like his flap of like Gene Wilder hair, rest his soul, right? And we're literally in the traffic jam to the fucking concert. He decides to make a fucking left turn to go around it. We get lost, and we fucking never make the show.
What?
Oh my God, you must have been, yeah.
This guy was an idiot, and this is like, there's no Google, there's no map, they were just complete fuck-ups. And what was so funny was I remember we were riding in the car and we ended up driving past this Jeep, and it was all my friends that I usually drank with. So he beeped the horn and I waved, and I saw him wave at me and then make that face like looking at everybody else in the car going, who the fuck are these jerk-offs? And I never made it. And then I remember running into them and they were like, dude, how sick was that show? And I was like, we didn't make it. The driver was putting Rogaine on and he made a fucking left turn.
At 20.
At 20.
I'm sorry. I exaggerate. It wasn't when he was driving. It was later on that night when we didn't make it. We all had to fucking like crash at one hotel room because we had no money. He was sitting Indian style on the bed. I'm already sleeping on the fucking floor, and he was sitting there and he was going like this, like under this, like
still rubbing it in.
No, that's the only time he wasn't doing it when he was driving. That's fucking ridiculous. Right. Did it in the hotel room afterwards. I kind of fast forwarded through the whole night. It still fucking kills me because that was when Metallica was. I think it was Injustice for All. They were still on.
Oh man!
And Van Halen at that point, what album was it? It was probably
before Pound Cake. It was after Dreams. It was whatever they did in '80. Finish what you started.
812. Yeah.
Oh, 812. Oh, you 812.
Yeah.
The Kiss story.
Oh, the Kiss story is the best.
There's plenty of stories in this book by Matt Pinfield, who we're talking to today. But can you tell Bill the Kiss? I think as a music fan, Bill appreciates the Kiss thing too.
The Kiss thing was really important.
I'm saving enough stories, so don't worry.
Yeah. But you know what's cool? I was working at MTV in the music department, all around the same time. And Alex Coletti, who was a guy who now produces a ton of award shows and has done so much stuff, but he did the Unplugs, walks into my office. He goes, "Man, what's wrong with the music department?" He goes, "They don't think Kiss is worthy of an Unplugged." I'm like, what? So I walk in and talk to my bosses, and I say, look, let's just put it in numbers. Every record comes out, goes gold without any promotion. That's 500,000 records sold. That's enough to say that would be a good number on the first night of an Unplugged. So they decide to do it. So we're there for that. I see that, I see when Ace and Peter come back and they yell, because they do the reunion there halfway through the show, and they're up top, and you just hear Ace go, "Hey, you motherfuckers!" And then basically they play together and they decided after that to do the reunion tour. So Gene and Paul were managed by these guys who used to manage Aerosmith at the time. Steve Lieber and Krebs were their names, and they took us to lunch at Carmine's, and it was great because I got to ask him. I go, "Why does Hotter Than Hell sound so much muddier, even though I love it, than the first Kiss album?" He goes, "We didn't know what we were doing. We were making an album every 6 months. The song." I go, "But the songs are great. I love the album. I even love how nasty it sounds." Right? Because there I am. I'm a teenage kid, and you're living vicariously through all the artists that you love. And so what happens is I get a phone call from Gene saying, we documented the reunion tour, and we'd like you to do the voiceover for it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I did the voiceover for it was a double VHS. Now it's available on DVD and probably on Netflix. But it's called Second Coming. So I did the whole VO. And the funniest thing in the world was I did that at the MTV studios because he'd offered me a couple grand for it. And I said, dude, come on, at least $5,000. I want to be a part of your history. But you always try to lowball you because it's going to take a lot of time. So then I get the beta tapes in the mail. Wow. Which, by the way, I never use. I just do the stuff out of that, and most of it links up. So, then I had certain ones that I had to redo, you know what I mean? Because they said, "Oh, it didn't link up." I'm going, "Really? How did that happen?" Because I wasn't going to rent a studio. Guys, and spend all my money linking up my thing. How did that happen? So it was hilarious. So then I do like another 30 lines. 26 would be in time with the picture, just out of luck. And then I was out there when, so it was the weekend of the VMAs when Ben Stiller was doing that, like he was, doing the skits on me. And I got a call from Tommy Thayer, who now plays Ace's part in the band. They wanted me to finish and come to Kiss headquarters to do the voiceover. So I went there, and then Gene took me to lunch in that Lincoln Navigator that Paul bought him. And he says, "You want to come to rehearsal?" So they're over there. We go to Cole's, where they rehearsed, and we're waiting for a long time for Paul. Guy shows up with the Love Gun boots, who's like they were getting ready to wear for the Psycho Circus tour. And Gene's showing me everything around, and he and Peter and Ace and I were all talking. And I go over to like the music stand, and I see the set list. I go, 2 new songs, Psycho Circus, Into the Void. I go, and all the classics. He goes, "You love this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I used to do these in bands when I was a kid growing up." He goes, "You want to have a go?" So I ended up singing Rock Bottom 100,000 Years.
I love that one. That's a great one. Yeah, that's a great one.
So, it's funny. Gene starts playing the bass. Then Peter gets behind the drum kit. He starts playing. Ace is ripping, and I'm standing in the middle of these guys in Paul's space singing Rock Bottom. And Gene looks at me and goes, "Man, you got really great control of your voice. You don't even sound like you talk when you..." So he goes, "What else you want to do?" And then Peter Criss yells out, "Do you love me?" And that was surreal because it's like the whole first verse is just you and the drums. And I'm sitting there singing it, and it's like, I feel like, like the 13-year-old kid with my headphones on listening to Kiss.
Oh, my God.
And so, you know what I mean? And then did 100,000 Years, which was just, So that was like it was a dream come true. I was so numb. I went back to my girlfriend in my hotel that night at the Bellage off of Sunset Boulevard. And she goes, "What's wrong with you?" And I go, "I don't think you understand. I just sang 3 songs with Kiss, like 3 of the original members." And Peter gave me one of his sets of drumsticks, and
that's one of those stories you tell it, and people are like, "Bullshit!" You're like, exactly. "I swear to God."
Gene has gone on radio and said the story's true.
Oh, damn! Christ. There you go. That's all you need.
Yeah, so
that's pretty cool.
It's a great story.
It was fun.
Wonderful.
It was I couldn't sleep that night. Like I said, I go, "Of course." You know what I mean?
I remember those.
You know what I mean, man? Like,
those unplugs were like a real thing where it was like, let's see if this band really can play. Because then the whole thing was like stripped down, and then you'd see people cheating and shit, and they'd
not all of them pulled it off.
Yeah,
they reshot it. They usually reshot the songs like 3 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was your favorite Unplugged?
Alice in Chains, man.
I know. Nirvana's a close second.
Yeah, Nirvana. Both of those I love. You know what I mean? It was being there for those, and I was sitting with the Metallica guys there at that. You know what I mean? And it was the last time I saw Lane alive. I mean, I went up and talked to him afterwards. to Len Staley, and I just, his girlfriend had been rushed to the hospital that day. So Sony was, I was working at MTV, flying him back to be with her. And, after he did, he still delivered so well on the show. And I'd been out with Jerry and Mike Inez the night before, and we were, misbehaving. So, it was.
I just picturing a flame under a spoon.
No. We weren't doing that. We were just out going wild. But they just killed it that night.
Right.
But it was just sad that was the last time that I saw.
What a unique style of singing, though, man. The guy's lungs, dude. Like, I try to sing along in my car with that. Be like running out of air. It's like, how does this guy just keep going?
Guys, the thing about that is the way those guys harmonize together. Like Jerry Cantrell and Lane Staley, their voices when they sang in unison was really unique. Incredible.
Yeah, they always weird to me how.
No, I love those guys. No, that's what. If I'm with him, if Nirvana's not my favorite, then Alice in Chains.
Yeah, those are my two
Nirvana always
favorites.
gets the credit with the whole kind of first grunge band, but like Alice in Chains, they had an album. I guess
Nirvana had one. Were around for a while too. Before,
Mother Love Bone.
Like, to me, the
Temple of the
fucking
Dog
album.
is getting back together. Temple of the Dog.
Yeah, they're doing shows.
Oh, wow.
You have
Jane's Addiction Ritual. That's the fucking album. Everybody always talks about Nevermind. Dude, Nevermind can't touch that album. Come on.
I love them both. You know what I mean? And
because you probably sang with both bands. You're protecting your friendships here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying as a fan of music here. Come on.
When Dave Navarro got caught in the elevator last time I was here for an hour and a half. And he's calling us. He's like, Matt, you hanging around?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, you know what I mean? It was so
Dave Navarro stuck in an elevator. That was great.
At least he was stuck with a beautiful publicist. He was having a good time.
You have a good take on why Andrew Wood, Kurt Cobain, Lane Staley, and Scott Weiland died in the book.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way I feel, it's just one of those situations. It's,
all those guys I fucking love, too.
Yeah, all of them. I love them. And, knowing them personally, like, Scott. Last time I saw him alive, we were in Carlsbad, California. I hosted one of his shows that night, and I saw him with his kids by the pool the next day. And it broke my heart. I hope when he put out his book, not Dead, Not for Sale. I did the book sign, I did his Q&A over here at the Barnes & Noble in Union Square. And I was close to them because you got the Leo brothers. Are originally from the Jersey Shore. They're from Point Pleasant Beach. Even though, of course, the band came together through LA and San Diego. It was crazy because, Dean DeLeo drove up in a delivery truck. I mean, when Core came out, he brought Core to me. All right, it was still in the long box. Remember when you had to rip it open with the plastic and all that stuff? He drove up to the radio station that I was program director at in, Asbury Park, New Jersey, HTG, a rock station there. And he goes, hey, Matt, remember me from the rock scene down here on the Jersey Shore, like Asbury and stuff? I go, yeah, man, what's up? He goes, hey, man, we got signed me and Robert got signed and have a new band to Atlantic. Would you think you might want to play it? I'm like, yeah, what the fuck? Come on in, man. I said, come on in and hang out. And then, first time anybody ever heard Sex Type Thing, Wicked Garden,
Jesus,
Creep and Plush.
Amazing.
And we just did it. And you know what? The thing that I've had such a long friendship with them that was the thing, like even back then before I was at while all that stuff was going down, he would come back, and I'd fly down and hang out with the band, when they were doing Purple. I was there in Atlanta when Purple came out, which is a great record too, what I mean? So, but anyway, my take on it is, it's just sad. I think there's the big problem is with drug addiction, as you know, and you're in a band, there's a lot of hurry up and wait. You know what I mean? You're coming down. There's certain pressures. Sometimes people are not inept, or they're inept when it comes socially, or maybe it just comes down to the fact that out of boredom, I think a lot of times, because again, I said hurry up and wait. I think a lot of what happens to artists, especially in that period of time, was all that downtime. And I've had friends who I lost, besides those guys who were friends, to heroin overdoses, not to get all Debbie Downer on you guys, but the truth is, I think a lot of time people think they can outsmart it. You know what I mean? They don't, they get caught up in it, like heroin especially.
Fatal mistake.
You know what I'm saying? So it's that kind of thing. Mm. But
It's also that made them such great artists. You talk about in the book where they're getting all this out in songs, but they're not actually dealing with the shit that makes them great writers or performers.
And that's what we will miss the most about all those artists we're talking about Lane, about Scott, about Kurt. You know what I mean? About Andrew Wood. It's just
the dude from Blind Melon.
Shannon
Hoon.
Shannon.
Same thing. That's a great fucking. That's a wonderful record.
It really is. Yeah. And he was a sweet guy. He was a really, really good guy.
That's what you usually hear. You hardly ever hear, and he was a fucking asshole.
Yeah, right.
I'm glad he OD'd. No, it's always a genuinely kind person that's just got on the wrong thing.
Yeah, so that's it. And that's, those are some of the different...
One of my favorite STP songs is Atlanta.
I love it. You're going to die. I swear to God.
A song that never really got radio play.
On number 4. And you know what?
On number 4, right?
The last song on the album, I played it last night where I had something to eat. No bullshit. I played it last night.
It's sort of an obscure song.
There's like a pub where I was just having something to eat late. You know what I mean? Right. Last night. And I just went up and I like to play the jukebox when I go to places.
He sounds like Jim Morrison in that song.
It's a total Doors feel.
It's so
It's haunting.
I don't remember that one.
It's the last song on that album. It wasn't a single.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful song, man.
Give me the first couple seconds of it. It's beautiful. You would swear that was something
by the door.
Right. It sounds like Love Street. She lives on Love Street.
Yeah, I love that song.
That's a wonderful song.
Yeah.
You would swear it was some Lost Doors track.
I know, it's so good.
Better. Anyway.
It's amazing.
These are a few of my favorite
things.
That's what I kept thinking of.
Jim Morrison does Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Yeah, of course. And Scott, but it's funny. I just put that on last night. How bizarre
That's so weird. I brought that up to and then because of your book, you talk about Radiohead and meeting people is easy, the documentary. So I went and saw that documentary after finishing your book.
Yeah.
It's all about OK Computer.
Yeah.
And
how they're pressing their touring stuff. And then, like I said in the book, people always say to me, like Chris Martin from Coldplay, when I met him, his point of reference was, "You're the only guy that Tom York likes in the Meeting People is Easy video."
Hey, that's nice.
I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll take it.
It really shows you what a band goes through when they get a hit record and what they got to deal with, all the same mundane questions and bullshit and the touring and everything. But then it led me to Radiohead in general. I was in a Radiohead fucking hole for a while, and then you talk about the song Just in the book. Why the fuck does the guy lay down on the sidewalk?
We never knew. It's my favorite. One of my favorite.
We started this show talking about that today. So what's your thought on that?
This theory's online.
In the video, you got a guy lays down. Everyone's like, "Why the fuck are you laying down?" They just want an answer, and then he whispers something in the video, and then next thing you know,
because everything else has subtitles until he whispers,
right? Because he's like, "I can't tell you can't handle it if I tell you all this crap." And then he whispers why, and then next thing you know, they zoom out and everyone's laying on the fucking sidewalk.
Yeah, it's like a Twilight Zone episode. No, it's pretty amazing.
I've never seen this.
Yeah, it's it's truly one of my favorite videos of all time.
Really?
Yeah, it is. And I like a lot of them. Obviously, from the 80s up and even 70s, because there were certainly people that were working and making videos then. And even the Stones and Beatles made like promotional
The Jacksons.
You ever seen
everybody,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Dancing in the Streets?
Yeah.
David Bowie and Jagger?
Some people didn't really...
South America!
That's not one of my favorite videos. I'll go down saying that's not one of my favorite videos. But remember, it debuted on Live Aid.
Right.
Which was it. But, this video was, it was like a Twilight Zone episode. And in the book, as you know, I talk about how we took so much heat for sticking behind the Benz at MTV, and we just said...
This guy sings like he's getting attacked by bees.
Yeah. Tom. Good old Tom York.
Tom York.
But they're only attacking him. I don't know what it is.
Stinging anyone else.
Nobody on the sidewalk, nobody in the band.
He's just doing that thing with his hands.
So I got to ask. I know you love U2. What are some of your favorite go-to albums? If they were like your,
I love Rattlin' Home.
Yeah, that's a great live record.
I love The Bends by Radiohead as a go-to.
Yeah, me too.
There's a lot, I guess.
Yeah. Well, because you obviously loving
Waiting
everything.
for Columbus.
Alice in Chains, Unplugged is a go-to.
Yeah.
I don't know the name of band. I guess
I remember that. Well, you like that's just.
He's a Zeppelin guy.
I think we're all the same way. Like we all love.
I love Zeppelin. I love Zeppelin 2.
Yeah, 2 is my
favorite,
and I love Zeppelin 3.
Yeah,
2 or 3 might be my favorite.
I love all of them. Yeah, I do. I mean, 2 is great. 2 just.
I love that acoustic stuff from Zeppelin.
Do you guys know that this Zeppelin 2 was actually made, and this is true. Zeppelin 2 was made on the road here in America. I mean, it was like literally they recorded the entire album here, and Jimmy Page would roll with these like, bundles of tape, and so they would go from studio to studio when they were on tour because they were trying to break America. So that was it. Oh, no, this video. Yeah. Oh,
this is one of the saddest.
Yeah, I can't watch
it. Is one of the saddest.
Everybody's Billy Squire shit. Come on. David Bowie and Mick Jagger, I would put that. That's even worse because it's 2 guys. They're just rubbing their asses together.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know what's going on.
Video.
So wrong.
Oh, it's the worst.
It is bad.
And whoever just yelled South America, that's the worst part of the song. South America. South America.
Yeah. That's LA.
So I used to run to turn it off. I love both of those guys.
You don't want to see them like that. No. You don't want to see them like that. You want to see them like doing what they do.
And they gave a shout out to everybody, every city. How psyched was Keith Richards when that came out? He's like, yeah, fucker, you're coming back.
That's right.
3 million hits. Every one of those is ironic. Everyone.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Look at all the thumbs up.
Mark, it's got
a lot of
4
thumbs
million
up
now.
Yeah, exactly. That's us.
It's just. Oh, that was a rough moment.
First line of the song, too. Coming out around the world. Yes, you are.
Now, Travis, this is the musicless music video.
Yeah, last week, somebody just took the music out of the video.
Right.
And it's just so silly. And totally worth it.
Oh, so it's them dancing with no...
It's like just silent.
No audio. Yeah, just play it, even though
it looks like 57.
Even though we're on radio. Let's just play it.
Let's just see, though. So, they took the music out of this thing.
Oh, they put sound effects. They did Foley. It's amazing.
It's impossible. I can't watch it.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
Oh my God. Shut it off.
That is brilliant.
Right, listen. Wow. We'll tweet out the video. It's hilarious.
My God.
It's so stupid.
Genius.
Bill, guys.
That's great.
Look at it.
So good.
They kind of nailed it. They really nailed every sound effect.
Oh yeah, let's see their asses.
Oh my God!
Wow!
Oh man!
All right, here let's shake it up with this. I did a run of dates in England. I got to go by Bonham's grave.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
Oh, you did? That's fantastic,
right.
Bill. Man, that's amazing.
It's great to be here on White Guy Radio.
Oh man, yeah.
Let me see that picture.
Dude, this is so cool.
Yeah, that's Bonham.
And it's got the symbols there.
Wow!
All the sticks. I zoomed in so you could actually read it, but I didn't.
Amazing.
I didn't do the fuck. I don't get people do selfies as far as somebody's. It's like you're visiting the grave, but I did have to take a picture of it just because.
Taking a picture of it's one thing. It's different if you're like your head's in front of it. And you're smiling.
Because there's people on the internet like family photos, like
hey, you're like, dead. Dude, the guy died here.
They still put these things on around the curve where Mark Bolan. You can still there's still people that got from T-Rex.
And the tree where
it's still there. Still there. I used to drive by it all the time whenever I'd be in London. And same thing, you'd see creepazoids out there trying to do a family photo next to the
tree where Mark Bolan died.
Got killed right there.
Yeah.
You went to Abbey Road.
Yeah, I got to do my radio show from Abbey Road, and I was also there when I did like the American coverage for Live 8, at Hyde Park. It had the best lineup, so I was like, I want to do the one in Hyde Park.
Yeah, Floyd.
You know what I mean?
Big Floyd. Or were they in Germany? Or that's the one? They were
there.
Right.
I remember interviewing David Gilmour and going, well, does this mean that you guys will get back together at some point? And he goes, no, Pink Floyd, it's like a pair of old shoes. He goes, they feel very comfortable. He goes, but there's something that's just out of date about it. He just basically said that to me. Because, he and Roger, they've had their issues over the years.
You think?
Yeah, so there you go. But they were great that night.
They were outstanding. That was my favorite part of the whole Live 8 thing was those. I kept getting mad that they kept cutting away. They kept cutting. I'm like, fucking Floyd's playing for the first time, and they're cutting over to show Green Day in Germany for a second.
Everybody was so pissed off that they were cutting to hosts.
Yeah.
Like, hey, people are buying water out here. Like a major performance. You're like, what?
Yeah. Mark Goodman got a lot of hate mail.
That was a crazy experience. Whoever was producing it made some serious mistakes.
So what?
Phil Collins played in England and then flew over. Is that the same one?
That's Live 8. This was Live 8. You know what I mean? Yeah.
From a few years ago.
Yeah, where the Killers actually, I watched them do the song that they wrote. That I inspired in front of 100,000 people.
That's
all right. What are you going to do?
Who needs them?
Guys.
Matt, before
money.
Before we let you go, what
Child's College Fund.
That's all.
That's it, Bill.
What music are you? What music are you listening to now? Because you never stop discovering music.
Yeah, I thought there was something cool that Clint Eastwood said in an article recently, and it wasn't a political thing. He said, "I never let the old man in the door." He goes, he's standing there, but I don't let him in the door. And for me, I agree with him that, I always keep looking forward and checking out new stuff. I love new music. I love that band Royal Blood.
Yeah, Royal Blood's all right.
They rock, man. Two guys, they're just...
Have you gotten into any of the DJ stuff or any of that stuff?
Some of the guys are pretty cool.
No, you can say no.
Yeah, I'm not
shitting it. I'm just like, it's interesting to me where it's the same thing where you kind of got like everybody's like, oh, he's just up there playing records. But the more you watch, it's like, no, it's the sequencing what you did. I watched this
Steve Aoki documentary, right? I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. Did you see that?
I watched the one on that DJ AM.
Oh, DJ AM, he was a good guy.
That's a new one.
That was an amazing documentary.
It was great. Yeah. And I took Skrillex out for his 18th birthday and got him rocked on 23rd Street. I swear to God.
Wow.
At El Quixote. I took Skrillex out.
That's a great place.
Who else gets to say that? Who else but Matt Pinfield? I took Skrillex out.
Sangria on his 18th birthday.
He started with Robert Plant told me.
Right.
And then he ends with I took Skrillex out at 18th. That's pretty cool.
I got to go back to Bill, though. One of your rants made a song, right? A
Which
mix?
one? Who did it?
I saw it online.
Don't play
Was
that.
it Steve Aoki? Was it Cascade? Who was it?
This guy's telling like Robert Plant.
Geraldo had one. They co-opted a Geraldo.
Yes.
He got no money for that either. That was a long time ago.
What the fuck was that?
It was a wonderful mix, and somebody just ripped it off, and he never got a shit for it. Yeah.
And worked it into the song. Yeah, I forgot all about that.
But
That was really cool.
I was shitting. I was making fun of DJ sort of, so then he incorporated it into a thing. So it was
that thing you
just
did,
a podcast.
That thing you did was cool. That was good though. You know what I mean? Yeah. But
Royal Blood, who else? I'm into the record company right now.
I love the record company. Those guys are great.
Imagine if they came out 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Jesus, they would have sold a shitload of records.
They did a performance in the lounge that we have for the radio station in San Francisco, and the space in their music is cool. And the way they came together, the record company, because they were just a bunch of friends hanging out in Silver Lake listening to records that they loved, and then they decided, well, why don't we try and play together?
What's the name of the band? I got to write this down.
They're called the Record Company.
A song called,
it's really bluesy. It's Go Off the Ground.
Rita Mae Young is a great song.
Yeah, some great stuff.
I'm trying to remember the hits now. Running. Jesus.
And they have a covers EP too, where they do like, believe it or not, they do a blues version of So What You Want by the Beasties.
Beastie Boys.
They did the Dead's New Speedway Boogie. I mean, it's they're a cool band. They're great guys.
So you don't think rock is dead?
I don't. I don't. I don't. Maybe people will think in some ways it's marginalized. It certainly hasn't been on pop radio for a long time, but rock is not that.
Nowhere close. I don't think. Nowhere. No, rock and roll, the Who. Rock and Wrong Live Rock. It'll never fucking go anywhere.
One of my favorites.
Rock and roll ain't going anywhere.
Love the Who.
All right.
I don't know.
It's not what it used to be, that's for sure.
It's been like, I just feel like there's, someone's got to do something to advance it or something. This
kind of reinvent it.
But I'm also an old guy, so like I don't like
that. Usually happens.
It's so hard.
That usually happens.
But
so
it's got to happen soon. I mean, Coldplay. I don't know.
Well, look, you look at all these other like big band swing. Yeah, it fucking died out. Like rock and roll, like the purest sense of it, that dies out, and then you had like you just have to keep having new versions of it. And I just think I don't know if it's like nowadays like.
You have to look a lot harder.
I was going to say, you got to go dig.
My wife listens to like so much of that that hip hop now where everybody sounds like they're fucking drugged up or they slowed it down, like you barely pronounce the words.
Yeah.
And then that singing with the auto-tune, and like the people are really getting into it like they're really singing.
I hate auto-tune.
Don't
you? Yeah. I mean,
come on, man. It's like it's like the worst cheating ever.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. Like it all kind of sounds the same. Like when she bounces between all of those guys, Drake and all those guys, they all sound like they're trying to sound like him to me.
Yeah, well,
I don't know shit about it, but just all.
Well, auto-tune, I just like I'm not trying to sound like the old guy, but there are still bands out there that plain deliver it. You know what I mean? Bands like Royal Blood Record Company and things like that.
Are they letting you play whatever you want over there in San Francisco?
Definitely some. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean it's kind of like
on the damn playlist. You can't let Matt Pinfield follow a fucking playlist.
Well, I mean, I do. You know what? I have my places where I do my thing there. Just
squeeze in a little
Trinidad. You still have to pick your spots, though.
Yeah.
Some jackass is still capable of walking in and going, Matt, what the fuck did you play that for? That can still happen to you. Seriously, that can still happen to you.
It's very interesting.
Sadly, it is true.
Yes.
No, I know it is. I know it is.
Sadly, the answer is
yes. He's being nice, but that's
and
a pile
I don't understand
of shit.
why no one's listening to regular radio
that's
anymore.
A goddamn
in
pile
general,
of shit.
Matt, I'm sure you got your following out there.
Yeah, and I have a night show too that I do that's on from 10 to midnight.
How's the personal life going? Everything good?
Yeah, man, I'm doing
hanging
really
in
good.
there.
Oh yeah, man. It was a big adjustment.
That is literally such a married guy question. You hanging in there?
Yeah.
Well,
it's a big change. Anytime.
Fair enough, but I'm trying to be nice about it.
Fair enough.
All right, we're out.
There we go.
I guess I got to explain myself because in the book I didn't realize that. You're so right. You're 100% right. But I didn't know how to say it because in the book he's pretty honest about
football season's here. You got that.
Yeah. You holding on, buddy?
Yeah.
Hanging in there.
Where do you keep your bottle of hooch?
so
Your classic. You got it in the toilet. You got it in the cupboard.
I'm just honest about it.
Right.
You've already read a whole book and watched 8 documentaries.
Because I've known you for a long time, I didn't realize you had addiction problems.
Yeah.
And I probably should have just said it that way instead of, how you doing, man?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That.
Yeah. There was there's been periods. There were periods in my life. I always say to people, when I was DJing in clubs in the 80s, we were like, cocaine's not addictive. Of course not. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And,
well, didn't doctors initially, they said it was in the 70s, they said it's no more addictive than caffeine. That was what they said when it first came out.
Yeah, it's...
and the 80s was the big lie. Is there anybody under, 40 listening to this book, the last hour of this radio?
No,
going down memory lane. Romantics had some good tunes before. They went too poppy for talking in your sleep. But come on, what I like about you, that song still rocks. There's people just going dude, what the fuck?
Oh, that's great. I dealt with it honestly because I thought it would have been bullshit if I didn't admit that I had issues.
I'm thinking you're at MTV partying with all these guys. How do you not?
I was.
How do you not have a fucking problem?
Yeah.
How do you say no to all this shit that's going on around you?
You should have written an episode of Vinyl before that went off. I bet you could have written a great one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely could have, without a question.
Doing Blow with Billy Idol.
Yeah. That was it went through that baseball bat thing. That was the funniest thing ever. You never forget it because I loved him when he was in Generation X, the punk band, and that was of course neither of us do that anymore. But I remember this guy came in and he had this thing that was a little baseball bat. He had a Red Sox one, a Yankees one, and it was literally it was a hidden thing that you kind of scooped out of a bag of blow. It would go down and scoop it up and then you'd snort out of it. So can you imagine standing there if people got cameras now, like then, and you got a baseball bat in your nose.
Over.
I mean, at least I'm laughing about it, right?
No,
and it wasn't mine, and I couldn't afford this shit anyway. I mean, it was I was a college kid DJing in clubs. So I wasn't, I couldn't afford that stuff. So, but yeah,
That's, what some people don't talk about when you get, I'm 48, is when there's so many people at my age that have just, now they're sober. And there's always a sadness I have because I still drink when I meet people just going oh, that would have been a fun guy to party with. You know what I mean? It's it's like seeing a great athlete at the end of their fucking career and you just missed.
You're like, fuck.
You missed the heydays. There's so many comics that I've run into is man, you and me would have got in trouble back in the day. I'm you don't got one more night in you?
Come on.
Are we really just going to go back to the fucking hotel room and put on a fucking movie.
Yeah.
See you in the morning. See you at the fucking the waffle stand. I was joking about this in my podcast.
Yeah.
You know what? This is like the patheticness of fucking married, like middle age. Sometimes is me and my wife went to a party and I had made like a pie, right? And like one of the big things is once you've just completely lost yourself in a relationship, which fucking happens after a while, is when you go to a fucking an adult party and you bring something to eat. You're just sitting there waiting for somebody to eat what you made to say that it tastes good, just to validate your fucking existence. I had to literally, like, no one was eating my pie. I tried to position it. I had to take the first slice out. I took the first slice out to prime the pump. Like, you ever see these guys who, like, bid on their own cars at the auction trying to get it going? Like, that's what I was doing.
Did you move it around the table, too, so it was in the best view?
I was walking around the party. Like, it's blueberry pie. Oh,
was it blueberry?
Oh, yeah, trying to get this rumor going.
Oh, man.
I unfortunately, I got to run because I got to go do Lenny Marcus's.
No problem. I go for the pie every single time. What dessert was winning out? I need to know.
Everybody, because in the email invite, he said bring some booze or bring a dessert, and he just really everybody went for dessert. So a lot of people they brought like donuts that they bought at a store. I'm like, what the fuck? Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's insulting.
Yeah, I mean, you actually made the pie.
You made dough.
You did it and did it right.
Started with a handful of wheat.
Yeah. It's not that hard. Make it dough. People get intimidated by it.
We got to get Bill Burr out of here. Bill's playing the Paramount in Huntington tonight. 2 shows, 7 and 10 o'clock.
7 and 10.
The podcast is amazing.
I'm going to take a Zeppelin over there.
It's great.
The podcast is amazing. I was in a Bill Burr loop last night. The Hitler shit, the Khloe Kardashian. I just want to say this really quick because I wanted to talk to you about it, but we ran out of time. How you described Khloe Kardashian as the power forward in the family?
No. Jason Lawhead.
I know you gave him credit.
I gave credit, because I didn't know that was going to blow up. I usually give shout outs to the guys that opened for me, trying to help them out. Now that it's a video, I felt bad about that.
No, you give him credit in the video, but then what you made it your own by now, as you're continuing the train of thought, you're mentioning, instead of mentioning Khloe, you're mentioning power forwards from the past. It just had me in stitches.
He told me earlier
that was all to promote Jason Lawhead's comedy. I didn't know that someone was going to take that and it turns into a video. I don't want credit for that.
The video I saw or heard, he absolutely gets credit. I forgot his name, so I'm glad you brought
Jason
it up.
Lawhead.
I'm glad you
Cleveland's
brought it up.
own. Right. Champions.
Yeah, and then the Hitler stuff where Hitler made everyone fucking wait. You remember that? Talking about that? And I saw the PBS?
The charisma of Adolf Hitler. Like, I saw that was the name of the show, and I was like, I got to take this. Somebody's putting a positive spin on this. I got to see it.
Yeah,
that guy, monster fucking public speaker.
Yeah.
Dude, like, he had like that wrestling thing where, you let it simmer, and then you fucking get him going. Like that time when Hulk, remember, he ripped his shirt off on the show?
Well, remember also that Hitler was getting shot up with methamphetamine. He was like the first public meth addict. So he was like, he was bursting out of his skin.
They have the creepiest fucking clip of him where he wants to trash Jewish people, but he won't do it. So he just keeps feeding this fucking crowd. He was sitting there talking about how great Germany is and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And he goes, we do this, we do that, we do that thing. And he goes, but there are others among us. This is all, obviously, I don't speak German, but they're just saying, and he's going like, who, they don't have a loyalty. And he just keeps giving clues and dropping breadcrumbs. And then you just hear this fucking guy off camera. It's like this little town meeting. He just goes, Judens! Yeah. And then he just pauses, never addresses it, and then continues. So he never got busted for saying it or whatever, and he just led them right to it. And there was like some dope in the back. Oh, I know the fucking answer. And it was literally just leading the mouth breathers to what the fuck he wanted to do. I did a gig in Germany. And and I had this whole chunk trash and Hitler. I was just like, how is this going to go? Is this still hugely embarrassment? Blah, 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 blah. Dude, they absolutely loved it. You can't trash the guy enough. And they loved it. They fucking loved it. And it was just like, dude, because like in our country, it's like, we had slavery and genocide and all that type of shit. But like with us, it was so fucking removed that we don't get it. But them, it's like their grandfathers and shit. So it was really, I didn't know which way it was going to go. It was one of my favorite moments I've ever had
I can imagine.
As a comedian when they were actually going with it. And I was just like, all your guys' contributions to automotive, to space travel, audio tape and all that. You pick one wrong guy It's all out the fucking window, and they were dying laughing. It was really cool. It was really cool. I got to run, though.
Bill, it was awesome to see you. It's been too long.
Bill, great
seeing you,
everyone.
It
was awesome meeting you, Bill. Great talking to you and hanging out with you.
Make sure you check out Bill Burr on Lenny Marcus's podcast. Is it the one with Kevin Brennan, or Lenny has a different podcast?
No, this is the one with Kevin
and Lenny?
Kevin, who I can't believe that you know, when what's his Strahan left, I can't believe that they didn't bring Brennan in. He has such wonderful morning energy.
Yeah. It's a great podcast because those two just
he's going to shit all over us. When you mentioned you were here, he's going to shit all over us.
Of course.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we'll see you.
Bill, thank you so much. Matt Pinfield, the book, I read the whole fucking thing in 3 days. I loved it. All these things that I've done, my insane and probable rock life. If you're into music especially, it's great. It really is.
Yeah, thank you. Opie, that meant the world to me, like I said. I really did. Please take that, man.
Absolutely.
You got signings or anything that you need to promote?
Yeah, I do. Tonight I'm in Jersey City at Word with Rob Sheffield from Rolling Stone. He's going to interview me there, and I'm out in Brooklyn at Rough Trade with Richard Barone, and then I go to Amoeba in L.A., and I do that one is going to be on Friday, and then I'm back in San Francisco Saturday at that Amoeba, and then that Tuesday night in Mill Valley, California, I'll be there with Matt Nathanson. Will be interviewing me and performing. So
cool.
It's really cool stuff.
Mark Norman.
Oh, hey. Phoenix, Stand Up Live this weekend, and Hilarities in Cleveland, and Punchline San Francisco. And listen to my podcast, Tuesdays with Stories.
And Vic.
I got 2 dates with Kathleen Madigan, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, Omaha Funny Bone, and this weekend all over New York City.
I think we did it. Why don't we end with Hey, What Can I Do and get the fuck out of here?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hey, guys, thanks so much. I had such a great time
Bill
with you guys.
Burr, Vic Henley, Mark Norman.
Yes.
What a way to come back from a very long break.
Yeah. Cue the Killers.
We'll see you tomorrow.